So, I kind of posted some stuff on our Discord of kind of like what the plan is for today. We're going to just do some introductions. Then we're going to talk about some house rules, and we'll do kind of an open chat, kind of like we're doing right now. And then you guys can maybe just talk about what characters you want to make and change. When I went through the original interview process with you guys, you guys were all kind of picking different classes and races and things. So, but maybe you guys want to rechange it and rethink. So this is like the last chance.
Yeah, I always like to talk to the party before anything.
Yeah.
Are we going to be streaming this?
We're already
session,
live,
or is
my
that
man.
only We're already live. Oh, okay. Channel. Give me the channel right now.
We don't have a lot of viewers typically, but I can link it for you. Especially since we used to stream on Sundays, and this is our first Tuesday game. I haven't updated the schedule on Twitch either. Oh. So we got some good.
Looks at it, throws it away.
We got a few good fans out there. Dwarma, who just stepped away, used to be kind of a fan, and then we needed a player, and he stepped up.
Oh.
That's cool.
Yeah.
No, he's never leaving us.
He's now
You're
just
stuck here, buddy.
You're not allowed to leave. I don't know who you are or where you're from. I can tell you. Find
He's
you.
the bestest
I will
lich.
tie you to a chair in front of the Twitch.
So we're missing just one player. It's my brother. He lives out of state from me. He lives, I think, in Virginia or something like that now. I don't even freaking know.
Just moving.
Just moving around. But he works for the prison system, and he had a guy called into an emergency. And so that's kind of another reason why we got 6 players.
Wow.
He's usually here, but if like 1 or 2 players drop out or can't make it, family emergency or something like that, that way I think we can continue with the game. And 6 is enough, I think, where we can still run the game and give you guys a voice at the table. Any more than 6, like we have run it with 7, I always feel like we neglect 1 or 2 players at the table for that session.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But I would suspect, like, on average, we'll probably have about 5 players because someone always has something come up. Like, I think later today, White, you have some issues, right? You have to go because it's Australia Day. So
it
there
is
you go.
Australia Day, so yeah.
Wow.
So I'm doing about a half
video.
today.
Why don't we have, we'll start off with kind of introductions. Is the music level too high?
That sounds fine to me.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
pretty
if
good.
anything, for me at least, low, but I don't want you turning it up and then ruining everything for me.
Start it over here a little bit.
I can still hear it, so it's alright.
I'll start off with myself and we'll just kind of go down the line. As far as introductions, my name's Asbald, or you can call me Baron, or you can call me Dungeon Master, whatever you want to call me, whatever. You guys can always message me on Discord, or just ask me questions, whatever. My experience with Dungeon Mastering, we did it just a game of Curse of Strahd for a year. Before that, I played a lot, and then I've also just I think one of our other players here at the table is also a big gamer with a lot of CRPGs and RPGs, and that's kind of where I've done as well. You know, I played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, and you can read my bio more on actually our World Anvil page. But I'm looking forward to Baldur's Gate 3. I just don't have enough time really recently to go through some games. Like I do want to play Tyranny. I started that game but never finished it. And then Planescape Torrent is another one that I've heard some reviews on that's pretty good. But as far as Dungeon Mastering, I think we have some fun. People seem to keep showing up. Why don't we go down the line to Logan, or what would you like to be called?
Yeah, Logan's fine. Because fun fact, it's not my legal name, but I prefer to be called it, so it's like, whatever. But anyways, so, I don't know really exactly what to say. I am, I'm going on 19. I have a couple ideas for characters and stuff, but I wanted to do you guys' ideas first and all that, because I always like to base my characters around what the party has, so that we don't, end up with like 4 spellcasters and a midline. And
Same.
it's like, we're screwed. So, yeah, I have like ideas for, like I said earlier, Gloomstalker, Assassin, friggin' possibly, I'm leaning away from it, but possibly a Hexadin. I actually had a good experience the other day with a Horizon Walker. So, any type of frontline I can play perfectly well. I've played Paladin, Fighter. I was thinking about Cleric. That's not one that I've actually played before, but I'm thinking about Cleric. So just get some ideas out there. And other than that, I don't know.
You are a student, and you also are into programming and modeling, and you have some drama background.
Oh yeah, that is true. I drama club every chance I got until Corona started, and then didn't really get too much. We did a couple of plays. I enjoyed that a lot, actually. It's like, just thinking back on it, it's a lot of fun. And yes, right now I'm in for game design and development. I lean more towards the code side, but we're working in Maya right now, so it's like, guess I gotta do the Maya. 3D modeling is a pain, but especially like the animations. The modeling, not so much. Modeling is actually kind of fun, serene, especially if you're not on a time limit. Animation, anybody who's done it will tell you. Terrible. So terrible, but it's needed, and some people find it fun to see the end product, so I applaud those who do animation properly. It's like, but yeah, other than that, I'm just theater kid. If I could be, I would be. I'm just unsure of where to go and all that. I do love theater and acting, and I really get into the roleplay aspect of D&D. You guys are assuming you're all into that, then it's like, we'll be perfect. Probably been rambling on.
You're okay, Logan. Why don't we go to one of our older players that used to play in our last campaign, which is Lice, aka Ashley.
Lice is not around anymore. It makes me sad.
She's
She was
still
a good
alive.
character. I liked her. She is still alive, but not used right now. Hi, I'm Ashley. Like you said, I played in the last campaign. Most of the campaigns that I have played, I always play like a spellcaster. So I'm like very fluent in spellcasting. So this campaign, I kind of wanted to do like a fighter, just because I had a little taste of that with the Hexblade Warlock. But yeah, I also did drama. I am a big actor and a big musical enthusiast. So.
And Ashley also kind of is an English major, and she does some writing.
Kind of.
Oh my gosh, I love
I've seen some of your...
Just a little bit.
She's
Just
linked
a little bit.
She's linked me some of
I
her
love
stories.
her.
They're really good.
Thank you.
Let's go to Johnathan, our friend from Baltimore.
Yeah.
Hey.
There we go. I'm doing well on being
A little
on the
nervous?
spotlight.
It's
A
okay,
little
buddy.
bit. But hey, everyone. My name's Johnathan. Came from Baltimore, coast. It's cold over here, freezing even. But this is my third time playing D&D. I have a session going on. It's going on Sundays, but this is not very nuanced to me. Very new, very bit scary. First time being a warlock and everything. Not warlock.
You love it. It's fun.
Barbarian. I started out doing D&D mostly to get out of my secluded state. I don't really do well talking to people, which is why I started getting into it. Before, it would be hard to talk to 6 of you at once. But I'm trying to make it out, trying to make it better. Currently in the middle of, currently moving from job to job right now, so things are kind of a bit spotty right now. But it's nice meeting you all. And yeah, here's D&D.
I appreciate it, Jonathan. Thanks for showing up. And let's go to WhiteShadow, our friend from Down Under.
Yeah, the guy from Down Under. So I am Australian, born, bred, and raised. Never left the country. Do want to one day when the world semi goes back to normal. I've only ever played one shot in D&D, so I'm a really new player as well. Been interested for quite a few years. More heavily got into it over the last year. I'm a bartender. I deal with drunks all night, every night. It's a fun gig. I can be a bit shy, but once I come out of my shell, I'm pretty good. And sort of similar to Jonathan's story there. It's going to propel me to get out of my shell a little bit more and do sort of the role play sort of stuff. That'll be really cool. Looking forward to that. So, yeah, pretty laid back, cruisy guy. I just like to go with the flow.
Yeah. What about you? And one of our older players as well from our previous campaign is Pablo. Used to be a fan of the show. That's how he found us, through Twitch. One of the early viewers. Stuck along. Messaged him on Discord or somehow. We touched base on Discord. We had an opening come up when we were switching over from the older campaign to campaign version 2 of Curse of Strahd. Like Ashley, you were brought aboard and stuck it out for about 40 more sessions.
Hi, my name's Pablo, and in the last campaign, I was Derma the Lich. Well, before that, I was Derma the Half-Elf, and I officially have the highest. Well, I don't know if you want to take that title, Ash, but the highest permadeath count in all of Ash's.
I don't know.
I think we're tied because I died 3 times in that last battle, the straw battle. That was pretty funny.
That was.
I have never died. Like, y'all are one about me.
Well, I have a strong sword and I'm a squishy, so it doesn't work.
It doesn't, yeah.
But it works.
Then, well, I played Blade Singer in the last one before switching over to Chronergy Magic and getting ridiculously buffed as a Lich character. But I'm also DM myself, and I do campaigns on my channel as well. And I've been playing D&D since the beginning of actually playing it more often since the beginning of the pandemic. So it was a bit on and off, and then I got into it through like a couple Discord servers, and eventually as said, I found my way to him after watching his Twitch streams.
Yeah, I'm really happy you found us, and you've been a great player. Cool.
Thank you, Az.
My brother is the only one that's not here. I'll let him introduce himself. He should be showing up. We'll see what happens with him. But he pretty much just goes with the flow anyways. He's just here to kind of have fun. He wants to play a bard, maybe in the College of Lore. So just like
I like that
extra
for him. I
magical
think it'll be
secret.
funny. I think it'll be funny. He did really good at Giant, so I think that'll be funny.
Yeah, I think he wanted to play a gnome or a halfling as well. I can't remember. He kind of rolled it up though in our campaign on D&D Beyond. So let's go.
Half elf.
Yeah, so when he joins, I'll have him kind of do the thing too, and we can just catch him up. Like I said, he had kind of a work emergency show up, which is a little unfortunate. Now we're going to talk about kind of maybe a boring part. I don't know how boring this is, but some house rules aspects.
Ever boring.
I always gotta get that out there.
So I linked in our game chat some information. It links to basically a tabbed sheet. It's best to be, I think, you'd be viewed on desktop. You could see the whole table. But it talks about a bunch of different types of optional rules that either, depending on that either can quote unquote improve the rules as written game or raw version of Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons, mostly in itself, if you think about it, is a game centered around combat and skills and things like that, and how to have players interact with the world within a base framework, which are controlled by dice and modifiers, right? And those should not be impeded on by the DM, right? So you play by the rules, right? When you make a roll, the roll happens or something, right? So it's not my job to cancel out a roll or something, right? And D&D is the structure of those rules to give players their agency. However, there are certain rules that we can modify or change to probably improve the game, make it more challenging for the player, or just improve it in general. And so we're going to talk through some rules, and I'm just going to mention things and see if you guys want those rules changes, and if you need me to expand or elaborate on those rules. This is something we didn't really do before in our previous campaign, Lice and Dwarma, but it's an opportunity now for you guys to say, hey, I don't want that, or I do want that. And I have a little checkbox here, so I can just check on rules and check off rules from my end to keep track of them. So the first one was the rest mechanics that we had from our previous game. There's three. These are a lot of these guys, by the way, I sourced them from other dungeon masters. So they're all sourced and referenced. So if you want to look into them further and why I picked them out or pulled them out, go ahead. The rest mechanics is the short rest now. The first one we'll talk about, a short rest, is now 10 minutes instead of an hour. It kind of just makes sense. You're just catching your breath. So any of those short rests, any ability that resets on a short rest, takes 10 minutes instead of an hour. Do you guys want that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that just, yeah, that
It was unbelievably helpful as soon as we started doing it. Like, it just so
yeah,
easy.
because then I feel like it's a thing where a lot of times people try to save their abilities and stuff, especially with, like, I know I'm playing a fighter in another campaign, and, like, I'm always so hesitant to use my second win in my action surge because, oh, what if there's another fight after this and I need it more for that? But, like, with the 10-minute thing, I get all of that stuff back on a short rest anyways. So it's like we just stop for 10 minutes and I have my
You're just
stuff
catching your
back
breath.
more.
Just catching your breath.
If you're
more.
yeah,
So
hint, if you're a warlock,
oh god, no.
this works to your favor.
It's broken if you're a warlock.
Oh, it was so broken. It was everything just reset. I was like, yeah, let's
Oh
go.
my god.
If you are a warlock or a monk or a fighter, the short rest 10 minutes is in your favor.
Mm-hmm.
This increases monks' playability in this game.
Yeah,
There's a lot of little rules, guys, so we're just going to kind of go through the line, but if you guys want to elaborate on it for a few minutes, that's cool. The next one, a part of the rest ideology or the rest system, is there's now two types of longer rests. One is the full rest, which is like you're in an inn, and that's just like it is rules is written as a long rest. But if you're out of town, like on the road in a tent, or someone's keeping watch and you're kind of on guard or alert, we count that as a long rest now. You see what I'm saying? So you have a long rest and a full
call it
rest.
a medium rest.
Yeah, medium
All right.
rest. Good terminology there. That is broken up into 2-3 hour segments. Dog's going ham there. I'll just mute you. There you go. Cool.
Fight!
Okay. There's two types of long rests, if you want to call it. Like I said, the first one is a 6-hour thing. You're in the wilderness, in the forest, in a tent. The first 3 hours, you gain half of your hit dice back. The second 3 hours of the 6-hour total, you gain your spell slots back. And it's definitely a nerf to players in that regards, as far as just like you don't regain all your hit points back, but you're recovering. Now, if you're in town, you go to the inn, or you're in a castle somewhere, or you're basically, what I interpret as you're not on watch. In other words, you're not worried about some goblin running up and slitting your throat. You get a full rest, and then probably you should ask for temp HP as well. So you get the whole rest, plus you get temp HP. Do you guys want that rule? Yes or no?
Yeah, sounds good.
Definitely
Yes, please.
something new.
It's
sorry
more
if I
intensity.
interrupted.
It just nerfs long rests where you just don't like fully recover everything. Just
Yeah,
by
and
you just
especially
don't sleep it off, you know.
Yeah, especially since like a long rest is normally like 4 hours. It kind of makes more sense.
Now, Lice and Dwarma, if you guys remember, I think in the last campaign, even if the first 3 hours, you gained all your hit dice back. So that was
Right.
one thing. And I'm noticing here in his rule that he used, you get half your hit dice back. So, and I think what happened was the reason why we just did it is because the first 3 hours you get half your hit dice, and the second 3 hours you get your full hit dice back. So you can spend your hit dice. Basically, also too, it uses an underutilized feature in D&D, which is your hit dice. Johnathan, if some of these rules are kind of going over your head, if you're like a newer player, it's okay. Just let it go.
Yeah.
Just you'll figure it out as we play.
I'll understand. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's like I'll adjust it as time goes by.
And these are nothing set in stone. You know, we can reevaluate the stuff after a few sessions. Okay. We also have another thing called overcasting. This is something I made. It explains the magic system a little bit more in Dungeons and Dragons or in the world itself. As wizards try to expand or break the unnatural links to the real world, they can overcast a spell. In doing so, a random ability saving throw is rolled. Your body or mind is tested. The DC is up to my interpretation. I tell you the DC in advance before you cast a spell. Basically, whenever you try to cast a spell or do something outside the spell description, it's considered an overcast.
Yeah. A pretty. Sorry, if I was going to mention a pretty good example. So in our last campaign, we used the overcasting mechanic to remove a level of, what was it, vampirism? Vampirism from one of our player characters, and we all had the remove curse spell, and because we were exceeding something that was considered like a god level ability, we all had to do the overcast using each of our strongest spellcasting mods. So I was intelligence, Ash was charisma, and our previous cleric, or one of the last players, had to use wisdom. So we exceeded the boundaries of what remove curse was originally supposed to do.
So I think that was Strahd had bitten somebody, and it was tied to like the fate of Irina or something like
Yes.
that, story-wise. So it was a much harder than just like, oh, I'm just going to cast remove curse and it'll be all good. There's actually more of a story to it. It was just more difficult. But also, one thing is now this rule, I created it, but what I noticed players do is they avoid being creative with this because they're like, well, I don't want my face to melt off or whatever, right? By overcasting some spells, so they're very risk averse. I think this is okay just to keep in the game, but again, it just opens a door for you to be a player and creative and realize that you have an ability. You can also cast a spell without a spell slot. It just requires you to overcast. So it's a way for you to draw magic beyond your body and your soul, like what you can do. So it explains that system a little bit more and the risk behind casting magic a little bit more, I think. That was the reason why
I
I created this.
remember. I'm pretty sure I talked to you about it, like in the second time we were calling, and like I think it's a pretty good idea. I like it because it breaks the boundaries of D&D a bit, and it makes it a bit more realistic in that, like, let's say magic was actually a real thing. You're not just going to have a set list of abilities that you can do, and then, like, you're not allowed to do anything other than those. Like, you're going to be able to experiment with your different things, and you're going to have the surefire ability to do this set of stuff, and then this other thing, like these other things.
Like a cantrip to like a first level spell. So it explains the spell slot system as you're drawing on more powerful magic and being able to do the incantations. That's the way I imagine it. And it's a way to explain how people, like everybody maybe could cast magic, but they don't because it's risky. Right. Mm-hmm. So it just creates an element of danger and tension in the world. We'll just keep it for now. Again, it's just one of those things where I just saw players don't do it. I don't do it with the monsters, really. I think maybe Strahd did it once, but it's a way for you guys, again, just to be creative. The help action is now 30 feet. Do you guys like that one?
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a way for you to, like, say if you're across the battlefield and you're like, I want to help, you give advantage, you say something inspiring to that person, you can give them advantage even if you're not right next to them, right? The trade-off is, say like you're trying to help someone with an ability score. You guys all, I noticed like from our last game, it's like, how can I help them do that? Well, it's like, describe how you help them. And one idea is that you have to be proficient in that ability. So like Johnathan the Barbarian might not be able to get proficiency in Arcana if he doesn't know it to another character who's trying to interpret some magical runes or something like that.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah.
There was a new action called Sprint, which allowed a player to move up to 5 times their movement speed. They would lose all actions and their reaction, but it's a way for you just to flee the battlefield. We are going to remove that. We're not going to have that because there was
I was gonna say, isn't that called the disengage action?
Oh,
you would still provoke an
word
attack.
sprint again?
So it would be like, because the reason why is we had some issues with it last game. I know that Neil tried to run away from Strahd or catch up to him and wanted to action surge too. And the sprint, so this was an idea from DM Jacob. It would allow players to just run away at any point in time from the battle if things were getting hairy. They would lose all their action, but it was a way for them to flee up to 5 times their movement. So it explained sprinting a little bit more in the game, and it doesn't really exist. Now in the Pathfinder system, not to get too technical, they have action points. You have 3 action points, and you can do a move in Pathfinder, and that kind of is a sprint action. Anyways, I'm just going to move on, but I just want to say we're not going to have that sprint action. But it's just something to think about.
I mean, up to 5 times is a bit much. I personally, I'd think like 3 times your movement speed, because then a typical character would be able to run 90 feet. If you're rogue or like a different thing, you'd be able to go more. 5 times your movement speed with the right kind of stats, especially if you cast Long Strider, you could go easily over 5.
Yeah.
Like,
This was a rule that also DM Jacob put in, and then he revised some of his house rules that he used, and he removed this one, so I took note of it, and I'm like, well, I've also had problems with that in my game, too.
yeah.
One idea behind bards was bards rechange their spells every level.
Oh, good God, please, yes.
So there was an idea where bards had a spell book, similar to wizards. We are going to not allow that. We're going to do bards the rules as written way, I guess.
Yeah, it's just, for me, I have a bard in a different campaign, and it's like, I give her a bunch of spells, some of which I don't actually use, and it's like, I want to be able to change them, but apparently as a bard, you can't change your spells once you've gotten them, unless you do like 1 per level, and it's like, it's so frustrating.
Man, I was like, I feel you on that, because I played a sorcerer. I played as a sorcerer, and they're even more limited than bards are in that aspect, and you have to like pick and choose wisely what you're gonna use.
And it's like, it's just, she's supposed to be like the support character. I'm pretty sure I told you about her in one of our calls.
We tried it in our previous game. I told the player that you could spellbook, but she was kind of a newer player too. She played the first version of Irina. It just went right over her head, and it never really came up. So again, it was just, does a house rule, does it create a funner game, or are we just making the game more complex and the rule is never used? And this rule was created and it was never used. So
yeah, if anything, I feel like just as a kind of change to casters in general that aren't like, clerics or...
If you want to play a bard, we can talk about it, but it's just another thing for you to micromanage if you're like, we want to say, you're using a spell book instead. But you're still
I'm not talking about the spell book or anything. I just feel like, in general, they should buff it from just 1 spell to your spellcasting mod. You can change that many per level.
Oh, I like that idea. Or your
Yeah.
proficiency bonus.
Yeah,
I like that.
I see where you're going with that. So you can only change like maybe 5 spells, and you have to pick those 5 spells.
Yeah, and then it's like even in the later levels, like you're not going to be changing all too many anyways. So it just helps out the early levels a lot more. And then like because sometimes like again I chose spells and I figured out in game that they didn't really come to any use, and I want to change them.
Let's just move down the line a little bit. We're now over in the combat tab. So one just general rule is there's no called shots. My idea, it's like in combat, like you're always trying to kill a guy. Like you're always trying to swing at his head anyways. Now you can be creative with it, but realistically it's like, because the idea was that the argument I've heard was, what if all the monsters try to hit you like that? What if all the monsters are swinging and they take like a attack at disadvantage? And that's kind of where the game balance comes in. Well, it's like, well, what if the monsters all do this? You know, so there's just no called shots. The difference is if you try to knock out somebody, you just take a -2 to the roll. So originally in the rules as written, any attack which drops a creature to 0, you can choose to knock it out instead. So there's a little bit of metagaming that goes on with that. But instead, you know, I'll just be like, yeah, the creature's bloodied or whatever, or you can ask me. But to try to actually knock a creature out instead of get a killing blow, because it takes a little more finesse to knock the creature out, you just have a -2 to the attack. Cool?
I like I know that in my other campaign with my dad like specifying what he's trying to go for, and like I don't typically give it. Just as an example, they were fighting a spider, and he's a fighter, so he was like, I want to get that leg, I want to chop that leg off and mobilize it, and it's like, in the end, I didn't have it affect all too much, but I made it like known that yeah, you're doing something, like you're still hurting it either way. So. But I can understand that. It's like, oh, I'm gonna aim for its neck and it's gonna die immediately. Like, I don't think experienced players.
I've seen it even in Critical Role where they do called shots. It's just one of those things where, like, if you do a called shot and it's creative, like, oh, I want to attack this to, like, dump the acid on this guy, or I want to trip him and do some attack. There's a lot of rules already around that type of attack. But actually, like, say, I'm just going to try to decapitate him so I can get a critical hit where I just roll a normal hit. That's kind of where the called shot stuff weans towards overpowering the player or the character / even the monster. Let's talk about critical hits a little bit. One issue is critical hits. Say you hit a critical hit with an item and you roll a 1 or double ones or whatever. So how critical hits work, that's how critical work in the rules is written. New improved critical hit damage is you do maximum weapon damage, plus you make a roll like you normally would do. You know, you roll normally, max weapon damage, then any modifiers. Do you understand? Cool. That's just so instead of just rolling double ones.
Yeah, I like that.
Worse than rolling.
Now, what's kind of cool too? Say if you roll a critical, we've never had it come up. It's optional. Again, it creates more dice rolling. It's never happened because it's 1 in 400 chance, but I think it's just kind of cool. You roll another 20, a d20. If you roll 2 d20s in a row, you do 4 times damage. And if you roll 3 20s in a row, you do 8 times damage. It just hasn't, it never came up in the previous game, guys. So should we use that rule or no?
Trust me, we've tried.
I mean,
do you guys like trying to roll on that?
Would there be a point to take it out, because like the chances of it coming up is that slim, that sort of, if it's there and it happens, it's sort of like, holy shit, it just happened, you know?
Do you want it? What do you think? Do you want it, White?
Yeah.
I mean, it's there just for the sole reason that if you score 3 critical hits in a row, you know, that's like you know, as I said, it's world shaking. That your luck is phenomenal. So you're essentially carving into that same strike again and again.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the chances of it happening is that low that it might never come up. So it's just there just in case. So it's not really changing the game.
Do you like that rule, Ashley? You want it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I personally think it's just more dice rolling for less benefit, but if you guys want it, then I have no problem.
Okay. So here's a rule. Now, I think Jacob did take this out. It's an optional rule. I think it's even in the DMG called massive damage. If you take over 50% of your hit points in a single attack, you have to make a DC 15 con save or take a stack of exhaustion. Do you guys want this? The reason why it's hard for me to even implement it, because then I'm trying to do extra math, and then most of the time we're kind of engaged in the combat. You guys kind of forget this rule. Even you guys might get hit, because it's a nerf against players. Do you guys want this rule?
I think it just makes the early levels harder, honestly. And in that aspect, it's like,
Let's remove it for now. It's something that works better at higher levels, to be honest with you, because you have more HP pool, and if you get hit by a tail strike from a dragon or some big giant attack or something, then it's more easy to implement. But at lower levels, you can get pwned. But it's a cool concept.
Are probably going to be exhausted.
Okay. Another idea. One idea was, say it like a druid with a staff. They're not really like trained like martial classes, so they don't get attacks of opportunity. They can't just swing out with their stick. So only martial classes like fighters, paladins, and those trained with martial weapons can get attacks of opportunity with their melee attack. Do you guys like this rule? This is one that I have no preference on. It's totally up to you guys.
I like that idea because, again, more realism. But with the ranged attacks, I get what it kind of means, because you have such a huge range with ranged attacks. But if it's like an attack of opportunity where they're running away, I personally think ranged attacks are fine. But other than that, it's like.
What do you think, Pablo?
Yeah.
With opportunity attacks, I'd say yeah.
You like it that only martial classes can do attacks of opportunity?
That's a bit of a 50-50 for me, because after playing spellcasters and with the warcaster feat, they're probably the only exceptions to the opportunity attacks kind of thing. Then again, it gives.
It's a nerf to players.
Yeah.
Let's remove this rule. We're going to take this rule out. We'll allow so any class can do an attack of opportunity. Is that okay?
I was going to say, if we did put it in, a slight change, anyone with martial proficiency.
Okay.
If you don't have martial proficiency, because it's like, if you have, let's say, elven weapon training or something, I'm pretty sure that gives you martial proficiency.
Yeah, in certain weapons it does, yeah.
Yeah.
Any racial proficiency.
Yeah, we could keep it, but we could change it that little bit to, have it allow the warcaster.
We're going to remove it. We're just going to remove it. But this is it's kind of cool to talk about some of this, because these are cool concepts. This one was developed by Dungeon Coach, and again, it's a realism aspect. For instance, a druid, a moon druid, who's in their normal caster form, tries to bean you with the stick. They can't do it, but when they shapeshift into their bear, they can swipe at you with the claw, because it would be considered martial class. It's one of those rules, I think, that adds way too much complexity, but it does remove some of the autopilot nature of using your reaction as an attack of opportunity. I do like the idea in theory, but I think it's an overall problem within the base game with attacks of opportunity. Okay, the other one, now here's a more hardcore rule. This is from the Grittier Dungeon Dudes thing. This is something that came up a lot in our last game, guys. If you guys get hit with a critical hit, you have to make a DC 15 con save or take a stack of exhaustion. It's similar to lingering. It's similar to lingering wounds, the variant of lingering wounds. Do you guys
Look at
want
me.
this?
Wait, so
The most
So
prolific
a goblin comes
attack
up,
of exhaustion.
swings a sword at you, and I roll a 20 with the dice with the goblin. You have to make a DC 15 con save or take a stack of exhaustion. It doesn't seem like a big deal, guys, but it is a big deal.
Yeah, I don't really
it
It's
sounds
stats.
situational.
know.
I can see someone just getting hit with critical hits over and over, like just hot dice, you know.
I-
away, and it's just
I
dying
built
to
my
exhaustion.
fighter, so I have a high constitution because I triggered for that.
I like this rule personally.
Drama.
I like using this
I
rule
like it.
because it adds realism. The only problem I noticed with our previous game, Ashley and Dharma, is when we use this, like Toggle, he would like, which was another player, he was like, I don't want to do anything, let's go rest to get these stacks of exhaustion off. So, because players, they want to always approach the fight at their maximum ability most of the time. And that's the way at least I perceive it as a dungeon. So what do you want to say, John?
I was gonna say which is ideal.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
I like this rule. Let's leave it in for now, but just keep it as an idea that's optional. Do you guys want to take it in or out? This is the last chance.
I
I wanted it.
I don't like it.
I'm keen to leave it in.
I think right now it should be okay.
It's a part of the grittier rules. I like it personally because it helps balance out realism. Like even the greatest fighter in the world fighting a horde of orcs is going to eventually just fall in battle, if you think about it, because he'll hit 6 stacks of exhaustion by getting critical hit. Okay, I removed the Dungeon Delver feat. It's just kind of a bad feat. The Grappler feat has been buffed. Now, one rule that kind of came up, Dungeon Coach, he doesn't like, for instance, the Sharpshooter feat and the Great Weapon Master feat in regards to low-level play. The more I thought about it, and I've heard of other players getting this, and I heard another DM talk about this, I actually want to try to, we're going to keep them rules as written. Instead of nerfing them, I don't want to go into all the math of why it is. But actually, we're going to, by and large, maybe over the course of our game, we'll actually buff martial classes in general by giving them more base abilities that should be a part of their class. Like instead of you spending a feat to pick up this heavy attack, the heavy attack is a part of these martial classes. Or as Logan, you said, martial proficiency grants you a heavy attack ability, which allows you to make any attack with your weapon at a -5 plus 10 damage. Do you guys understand?
Oh, so it's kind of like reckless attack.
Reckless gives you advantage on the attack, right?
Oh, it doesn't?
Yeah.
I mean, I was playing with the champion fighter Saturday, and he could do that, like take a -5 and then.
That's
but
right,
I'm not
because
sure
he had the
what-
feat. He had a Great Weapon Master feat,
Oh, okay.
and that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
I
we
thought
kind of
it was-
transitioned there and right into feats, and I didn't really segue.
okay.
Yeah, we went from grappling
Yeah.
to Great Weapon Master in seconds.
I'm trying to get
How
through
fast
this.
we move.
What I'm trying to say is Dungeon Coach concept behind nerfing these feats is okay. It's good intentioned, but I think ultimately it's just not a big deal. To give players the ability to make an attack at -5 plus 10 damage. In fact, it should be a core ability of every martial class, because martial classes in general need to be reworked.
Honestly, I agree with that notion. I'm not sure if you watched the vid on Treant Monk's house rules.
That's the
but
one I'm
he
talking about.
basically-
Yep.
But he basically buffed every martial class
Yep.
to where you don't need Great Weapon Master or Sharpshooter.
So what I'm trying to say is, guys, we're going to use the rules as written version of Great Weapon Master and Sharpshooter, okay? There's no changes to them. We're going to try it out. And in fact, as we play along, maybe I'll make more changes to the martial classes, giving them more base abilities, to give you guys more options in combat, rather than, oh, I just want to swing my weapon. If you want to think about it, it's the Battle Master class, really. Almost like we're going to give more Battle Master sort of abilities to martial proficiency classes. The feat Lucky is definitely a powerful feat. You get the way it's written is you get 3 points. I think they're reset at on a long rest. They basically allow you to re-roll. And there's a mechanic in Dungeons and Dragons called you get to see the roll, and then you get to say, I don't like that roll, I want to re-roll it. One option to, it's definitely a nerf, but one option to quote-unquote improve it is instead of saying, I want to change the roll after it's rolled, aka destiny has already happened, I have to roll that roll with advantage. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of other abilities and stuff like that. I think in Xanathar's and things like that. So Lucky is not the only one. It's just the one that's most talked about. I personally, it's up to you guys on this one. I'm 50-50 on it.
I want to try this rule out since I'm going to be playing most likely since I'm going to be playing a halfling. I actually want to try this rule out because
this is the feat though, Dwarma, not the actual Halfling luck ability, the passive ability with Halflings.
So that is rules so the passive ability for the halfling
is unchanged.
Rules is written.
Its rules is written.
Okay.
If you roll a 1
I want to give this rule a try.
So this is involving just the lucky feat, meaning you get 3 points in lucky. You get to roll an attack, saving throw, or ability check with advantage, but you have to declare it in advance. And it uses one ability charge of your lucky feat. Do you guys understand?
Yeah, it's kind of like a buffed version of the Clockwork Amulet.
Yeah, but not. It's not like I'm re-rolling it and like, and because after every time you roll, and this is a problem. A part of this. Let me see the roll first, and then re-roll it. See what I'm saying? Instead, I'm letting the die. I roll the dice, and that's the fate of the dice.
Yeah.
This is an idea of the game a little bit.
If you really want to put it into perspective, it's really realism if you roll it with advantage.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, exactly. You're just rolling with advantage. It is a nerf to lucky. So we'll keep that one. If you want to pick up the lucky feat, and if you need me to explain it to you again, I will. Sentinel, there's been a lot of DMs that really... the problem with Sentinel is it pairs up with Polearm Master. It combos with Polearm Master real well. So a lot of DMs hate Sentinel. It's not really a big deal because a creature still has to use a reaction to use this dangerous combo of Polearm Master Sentinel. The only change to Sentinel to balance it out, so a creature isn't completely immobilized, is there's a few ways to balance it. Well, one is you just drop their movement by 15 feet instead of 100 feet or 100%.
Yeah.
So it's a way to hinder a creature but not totally incapacitate it. Do you guys understand?
Yeah.
If this isn't a big deal, again, these are like, I know we're tweaking little things. So that's what the problem with these house rules are, is often these little tweaks don't amount to shit. Unless you get power gamers that try to bust the game out. So.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't feel like any of us were planning on going freaking Echo Knight, Polearm Master, Sentinel, or anything, so.
Cool. All right, let's go to the next tab, which is the items tab.
God, Echo Knight is such a...
I'm playing an Echo Knight Hexblade in another campaign, and he's actually busted.
Yeah, go for it if you guys want to play it.
They said said it can't be busted.
So one issue, the rules is written, attunement takes 1 hour. You pick up an item, what are you doing? Are you like fondling this magical item for an hour to develop some special bond? It doesn't make any sense.
I know Dharma was fondling the Staff of Frost for about a good turn. That
was from our last game because we used this house rule. The house rule is attunement has now been buffed. It only takes an action to attune to an item. To form the magical bond to the item. It no longer takes an hour.
I mean, in the end, I felt like... I feel like it doesn't really matter that much. It's definitely a buff, yeah, but it's like...
I haven't seen it break the game, so we're keeping it in. One buff in general. This is for you guys for character creation concepts too, where you guys are like, well, we have to have a cleric to heal everybody. Well, we're going to buff healing potions. When you take a healing potion, taking a potion requires an action in combat, right? But instead, healing potions will heal you for their max. You don't roll, it just heals you for max. So you don't have to have the healing bitch in the party. This is a buff. Do you guys like this rule, or do you want to roll on healing points?
Yeah, because I mean, it's like.
So say you're in the heat of combat. Let's say white is in the heat of combat, and white takes a whole action to drink a healing potion, and he rolls double ones. Oof. And he heals himself for like 3 HP or whatever, or 4 HP. And the next attack, he wastes his whole turn, doing. Okay. Pablo needs healing. Okay.
I like that.
I think it pairs really well with the rest mechanics now as well. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it also adds into the realism because like it's not random whether a healing potion is how much a healing potion is gonna heal you, right? So it's like
it like has an expiry date now, and it's
we don't know what's gonna happen.
The core reason for this rule was to take pressure off of the players so they don't have to have a dedicated healer. So if you want to, you can go to the store. A common healing potion is a common item. One example is you go to the store or whatever, in like a town or something, I would roll a D6 or 2D6, and that's how many healing potions are at the vendor. Each healing potion costs 50 gold, to give you guys an example. So I'm now on the next tab to level up. Level up perks was a concept by Dungeon Coach. He has a whole PDF on extra bonus perks. Every time a player levels up, they basically get extra buff. I found this to be too confusing personally, so we're going to remove this. You guys probably don't even understand it or know it. Well, I'd have to get his PDF and really do it. But it's a way, the concept is good in nature. It's a way to cater and customize your, and give you basically passive abilities or additional active abilities that are specifically made to your player. The problem is it's a game balance issue in a way too. It's like, well, okay, I tried it in the first campaign. Again, it didn't really work out.
Yeah. Well, did we ever use this rule when we were playing Curse of Strahd? Did we ever use it?
We did not in the second campaign, because again, it was just too confusing.
Yeah.
Okay, so one idea that has come up in some games, say if you're out in the middle of a dungeon, and we hit a point in the game where you killed maybe a boss or a sub-boss or something like that, and you guys level up. Your spell slots do not refresh, but your hit dice and hit points... I'm sorry, your spell slots refresh, but your hit points do not refresh. So you just don't miraculously heal when you level up, but your spell slots refresh.
That's always been a weird thing in games and stuff. I mean, I can understand like healing the extra health you gain from the level, but not like.
It's come up a few times, so we'll keep it in. It's not a big deal. And again, some of these I just remind you guys. So here's a rule that has come up, and we have used it in our previous game. When you level up, you roll hit points. When you level up. This is taken from Dungeon Dudes. When you roll, because they play with 3 players, so they need to have higher HP pools. There's 2 ways to roll this. There's really 3 ways. Rules is written, you just roll it, and that's what you get. So if you roll a 1, you just get a 1. The second way to do it is if you roll a 1, you get to re-roll it. And you have to keep the new roll. The rule number 3, which is the buffed one, which is what I have listed here, which is from Dungeon Dudes. You roll, but if you roll less than the average, you get the average.
Yeah, I like that.
I think that's pretty fair.
It's a buff. However, what I would like to do as a DM this session, this campaign, is the second variation. You roll it straight up, But if you roll a 1, you just re-roll it.
Yeah, I've always, like... There's a few of these rules that I've seen that I just thought was a part of D&D, like, in general. And then, like with the con mod thing, I thought that was just a part of D&D. Like, I genuinely did.
It is.
That's how I've always played.
So you still roll for your new hit points when you level up. It's your your class hit dice plus your con mod.
Yeah, that's how I've always done it.
However, yeah, so you just, if you get a 1, that's it. You get a 1. There's no redos. So it can be a little punishing, and you're like, damn, I only have like 3 HP on this or whatever. So it really, if you think about it from your perspective, Keith, con becomes a much stronger attribute.
Yeah.
And characters are it's a nerf to characters, really, and emphasizes Constitution more. That's all it does. What we'll do is we'll try the second variation, the one I said, instead of this one that I've listed. We'll try the one if you just roll it straight up. But if you roll a 1, you get to re-roll it. How does that sound?
Yeah.
I mean, I've always another thing I've always done is the, like, if you roll below average, you choose the thing. I know that it wasn't in the rules, but it's a thing that a lot of DMs do.
Okay. Okay, for rolling, I'm on the rolls tab. We're almost done. We're getting there. Some of these are just from the DM side. But it's emphasis to the player too. Typically, if you use a check with your mind, you can't re-roll the ability check. But like, say you're trying to do an ability with strength, dex, or con, you can try to re-roll it. You can re-roll it. In other words, like I'm trying to open a door, I can use my strength roll again. Athletics, right? Or acrobatics. But if I'm trying to remember something and I fail, I can't re-roll it again. Now, I've seen Matt Mercer do this, and he actually allows the players to re-roll it, but he just increases the DC a lot. So there's different ways to do this type of concept. The ability checks, this is one we can't implement right now, but certain ability checks, I'm thinking like the mental ones, where you're trying to persuade or deceive someone, or you're trying to get an insight roll on someone. There's several different roll types. We can't implement this right now, but it's something that we might get going in the future to basically reduce metagaming. How it works is, say, let's say Shadow, you try to do an insight roll on an NPC. The roll is hidden. So it's hidden from everyone except for the DM. And the DM sees a roll and says, well, did you do it? Because you don't know what you rolled. So it helps prevent metagaming. We can't implement this right now. There's an idea called advantage and disadvantage stacking. This is taken from Dungeon Coach. It's a way to apply different layers of advantage. So if you do something and it grants multiple advantages onto a roll, instead of just granting just straight advantage, it grants a stack of advantage. And I've listed the stacks out there. We'll keep that. We used that last campaign. It wasn't that bad. Death saving throws are rolled in secret. They're rolled by me. I don't fudge them. It does come up, but it increases tension to the game. The only way you know if you failed is if I roll a 5 or less, you gain a stack of exhaustion. Do you understand? So if you drop dead or drop unconscious and you're dying, your death save is rolled in secret, and if you roll a 5 or less, you gain a stack of exhaustion. If you roll a 20, or I roll a 20, because it's rolled in secret, your character regains, you come back to consciousness with 1 HP, just as rules is written. It's a nerf to players, for sure, but it's cool because it adds tension to the game. Do you guys like this idea?
Yeah.
I like it. It makes it more urgent to help your down companions, because none of you guys know whether he's on the brink of death or not. Because, like, if you're in the middle of a fight and someone goes down, and then, like, 2 turns later, they have 2 successful saves, it's like, all right, well, I can wait at least another 2 rounds before going to heal them.
Yeah.
But, like, if it's all in secret, you don't know that. So it's like, he could be on the verge of dying, or he could be completely fine. None of us know. We should probably not take that chance.
Removes that metagamey sort of feel.
Now, medicine is an underutilized ability. If you try to revive a player, you can use your medicine check. The medicine check, it looks like this one was taken from DM Jacob. It never came up in our previous game because people would just heal you or slam a healing potion down your throat. But you can use a medicine check. Also, a buff to the medicine check, I don't have it listed here. Say you take one of these stacks of exhaustions from the critical hit. Overnight, a player with medicine can try to remove that stack of exhaustion. So it's a way to counteract the exhaustion mechanic and remove stacks of exhaustion using medicine. And you can use like your herbalism kit. I think that gives you proficiency and stuff and gives you a bonus to that medicine check. Okay, a couple spells. The big one that I looked at Healing Spirit a while back. Healing Spirit has come up, I guess, in other games that they have a druid. And they're using this Healing Spirit ability to heal everyone. Because it's a concentration spell or something like that. Or, anyways, it hasn't come up, but apparently you can only use it in combat. I think it's a second level spell, so to me it's not really a big deal. But apparently it can be game breaking. So it's one of those things that was overlooked by Wizards of the Coast. The big spell change that has come up in the previous game is the counterspell. Counterspell rules as written works like this. It's a third level spell. As a reaction, I can try to counterspell any spell and I automatically succeed if it's third level or lower. So like when Dwarma cast shield or Marcus cast shield and Strahd counterspells you, well, it would just automatically fail. And it removes player agency. That's the problem. And it works both ways. It removes the DM's agency when he has a monster. The other problem with counterspell is that you're like, well, what level spell is that? Because I'm going to upcast my counterspell at a higher level to counteract your spell. So you're like, well, what spell level is that? So there's a metagame aspect to it too, which can be problematic. We solve this by using Dungeon Coach's method. Counterspell, this is the way the new counterspell works. Counterspell cannot be upcasted. Okay? So it can't be cast higher than a third level spell. And basically what happens is there's two opposing rolls, depending on the proficiency of the caster. So the more powerful the caster is, the harder it is to counterspell them. You guys are level 1, so it won't even come up till like your level 5. But it's just even at lower levels, I think it's helpful and returns player agency back to you guys. In other words, we leave it up to the dice rather than just saying, oh, I counterspell you, it doesn't work anymore. So there is some rolling involved. Lice, did you like that from last game?
The counterspell? Yeah, I think Dharma used it more than I did though. Because I would just throw fireballs at people. No shits.
I mean, in true spellcaster fashion.
Okay, I'm now on the status one. We're almost done. We're getting there. When you drop to 0 HP, you gain a stack of exhaustion. Now you don't say someone crits you and you fail your con save and you drop to 0, you just gain 1 stack of exhaustion. So you're not like gaining all these stacks of exhaustion. But say you drop to 0, you gain a stack of exhaustion. The reason why this rule is put in place is there's been many fights, I guess, in Dungeons & Dragons where players are just getting up, they're going to 0, they enter their death saves, they get back up at 1 HP, they get dropped again, and there's no consequence. This adds a consequence to it. You gain a stack of exhaustion. There's other solutions to this, but this one is just the quick and easy, dirty solution that uses the exhaustion mechanic. The other solution is your death saving throws get harder and harder each time you drop, and there's a lot more. You have to keep them with that death saving throw type stuff, and it just makes the game more confusing. Using the exhaustion mechanics keeps it simple.
Yeah, but even then, it's like, it doesn't really matter if you're getting picked back up every time.
We've had it come up.
Lice keep going down.
Lice, it came up in the last campaign a bit. Lice drops 3 times. She had 3 stacks of exhaustion a few times, which means all of her saving throws, she moves at half movement speed, all of her ability checks, attacks, saving throws are all at disadvantage.
It was brutal. It was So brutal.
It's counteracted by the medicine check mechanic, though, especially if you're long resting. And especially, say, you go rest in the inn, well, then you can recover these exhaustion stacks.
One thing I just thought of, actually. With the 10-minute rest thing, it actually makes the spell Catnap useless. Because that's exactly what Catnap does.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, obviously there's some problems there, but we'll work if it comes up, we'll work it out.
It just popped up in my head.
We'll
come around to it when it's needed.
There's these things called inspiration points that the DM can just like subjectively give players to give them advantage on a roll. I tried this in the first campaign. It didn't really work. So we don't use it. Getting up from prone requires 15 movement. But if you stand up from prone, you cause an attack of opportunity. So it creates a more strategy-based thing around the prone mechanic. If you go prone and you try to stand up, it could provoke an attack of opportunity. Do you guys like this idea?
Yeah.
It's realism, I think.
It makes sense, because, like, if someone's getting up in front of you, you're not just going to stand there and be like, oh, wow. He knows how to stand.
Cool. We're on the last one here, called Magical Tattoos. This is just a cool flavor thing. Wizards and spellcasters, this kind of exists in Tasha's already with some magical tattoo stuff they have there. But there's a way to inscribe your spell book onto your flesh, where you can read the spells like off your forearm or off the mirror. You have a mirror in front of you. You can memorize your spells. You have to find a person who can magically bend and use bending ink, and it just costs you 3 times as much to inscribe that spell onto your body. It requires a feat to do so. To actually acquire this ability. It has come up in the previous game. The previous Irina picked this feat up. That's the last of them, guys. You guys have any suggestions, comments, concerns?
No, everything's pretty.
Not from what I can remember.
Yeah.
We'll see how much these really come up. You know, it's kind of what Tree Monk was talking about. Even though Dwarma stepped away, I bored him to death. And I think we lost Johnathan, too. And this boring.
Johnathan had to go make some
do something.
medicine.
Okay.
And then I'll have to.
All right,
I
cool.
don't know what.
Thanks.
He said it would take around 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. Cool. So this is now the second part. Are we doing good on time, Shadow? Or when do you got to bounce?
I got about 15 minutes or so.
Okay. This is the time to figure out what type of classes and characters you want to play now. And just kind of talk amongst yourself.
One thing before we start that I wanted to quickly address. If you guys see my head like thing or like me making weird facial expressions randomly, I most likely have Tourette's, so that's why if you see me weird movements or like twitching or I just wanted to
haven't
clarify
even
that.
noticed, man.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't
You're
look
good,
at me and think, what the heck? Oh, what is going on there? I just wanted to clear that up. Didn't want to do it in the middle of anything,
So I know that Johnathan stepped away. He wanted to play a Hill Dwarf Barbarian. Do you guys want me you guys can talk amongst yourselves, figure out what classes and characters you want to play.
Okay.
I am here.
Both of them back on cue.
Yes.
Again, I was possibly thinking about going Ranger. There's Hexadin possibility. There's Cleric possibility. I can play practically anything, especially since we're starting from level 1. So I don't mind whatever.
I was actually pretty keen to play a Tempest Cleric, so.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Come in with some of that brutality.
Ash, you said you wanted to play a fighter, possibly?
Yeah. Yeah, I got a tiefling fighter all set up.
Ooh, okay. Did you know what subclass you wanted?
No.
If you're used to
We'll get there.
We'll get there, yeah.
spellcasters, I'd just suggest Eldritch Knight. I've played one before. It was my first character. Pretty fun. Versatile.
Trying to stay away from spellcasting this time.
Oh, okay. Well,
Although
then,
it might be a little
well, then
hard
go
because
for
I
everything
like
Eldritch Knight.
raging.
She got a plethora of options at this point.
Yeah,
She
you-
got
you-
Echo Knight, Battle Master.
I think I mean Battle Master may be cool. I don't know.
Battle
I don't-
Master is a.
I don't play fighting types, so it's a learning curve for me.
For me, I'm sticking halfling. I want to play a halfling, but depending on the party makeup, I'll pick my class when we need to. Ideally, well, not really ideally, but rather if we need like a scout person or anything like that, I was gonna go druid.
I mean, so right now, barbarian, fighter, a bard, cleric. You need some spellcasting and ranged abilities, so definitely I'm definitely looking into Rise and Walker, possibly just a straight up block.
I actually want to see that, yeah.
Yeah, because I really like Horizon Walker. Its abilities are pretty good. It's just, and if I do go Ranger, I'll probably multi-class into Archer Fighter, but just for the extra attack and all that. But other than that, yeah, I'll probably be going either Ranger or some sort of spellcaster. Definitely, it depends on what you go. Well,
All right. Anybody else?
I mean the other ones, they all have their
Yeah, I think we're pretty much set. I'm just trying to figure out what race I want to be be honest.
yeah.
Yeah.
It all depends on what you go. Well, if you want to be a spellcaster of some sort, I can easily go Ranger and take the Scout, kind of role, especially if I decide to go Gloomstalker Assassin. Sneaky boy.
Well, yeah. If you want to go Ranger, then yeah, I'll go Druid.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
take Shaq's route.
Oh, okay.
PR Shack.
You want to play a
Yes.
moon druid?
No.
Not that
Since you
much
already
of
did
Shack.
Moon Druid, there's only one other Druid I'm probably gonna go for, and that's Shepherd.
Okay.
You're gonna summon cows from the sky.
Yes.
Oh,
Heck
no.
yeah.
Oh no.
Cool.
Summoning cows, the whole
Called
shebang.
chaos.
Yeah, if you're going Druid, I mean, we don't have a straight up spellcaster, so.
The other thing I can do is be that. Well, our Bard is their straight up spellcaster,
Oh, yeah,
right?
that is true, actually. But,
He's more support, because I know he's
yeah,
gonna be more
support oriented, and it's you're also off support being a Druid.
I'm gonna.
And
Straight-
we,
Sorry.
sorry,
Go ahead.
sorry, that was me. But we also have a cleric as well, so skills is definitely not in my character.
Yeah, so it was either Druid, Blood Hunter, or I might pull out I might pull out Sorcerer and just stick to support. Or stick to off support.
I mean, Rangers and Druids do share a lot of the same spells, so I could definitely go Ranger. You go Sorcerer, and then I'll be the rogue of the party as a Gloomstalker, and then eventually multi-class into Assassin and actual rogue, and yeah. I think-
If this gives me a chance to pull off the Sorlock build, then yeah, I'll do
I mean, go for it. Honestly,
it.
Hex is such a good. What's it called? Hex is such a good spell.
God, I know, right? It'll be fun.
Eldritch Blast on top of it as a sorcerer with sorcery points.
The true power of Eldritch.
Oh no! Oh no! I'm crying.
The true power of Eldritch Blast. Quickened.
But, I'm thinking of bringing back I lost a campaign earlier today actually. So the character I was playing there was a Gloomstalker. He was a human variant Gloomstalker who was raised by Shadar-kai tribe to be an assassin, and I might bring back that kind of thing and actually multi-class into assassin this time, like I didn't get to.
Yeah, we the last one we had Arcane Trickster, so it'll be nice to see what the assassin one has.
Oh yeah, assassin is like assassin. I took a look at it, and it's like if you get a sneak attack, I think. Wait, no, not a sneak attack. If you surprise someone, you get.
That's a crit.
Yeah,
That's
you
an
get
auto crit.
And it's like, yeah, assassin played well is absolutely crazy, and combined with Gloomstalker, as the place is dark, you surprise all the time. Because people can't see you with dark vision. So.
Oh yeah, that's about as insane as it's gonna get with a Gloomstalker.
Yeah, and it's like I'm kind of second guessing it because I don't want to I don't want to throw Az through hell or anything, but like I would enjoy trying it out.
I've played with 2 Gloomstalkers already, so I'm very familiar with the rules on Gloomstalking. It's not a big deal, to be honest. If you want to try that, and if you're set on that, I also like the Horizon Walker idea, and I also like the Drake Warden idea. Let's go back to White real quick, because he's got to take off in a second. What race did you want to play, White?
I'm actually thinking half orc to sort of follows in with that brutal sort of style, the Tempest Cleric. A bit more aggression in there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we got a half orc cleric. Now, one of the kind of the cool backstory things that I have in the world is the darkness sent out these forces of evil, and all of the half orc breeds are basically bred from the last war. If we want to get kind of brutal about it, the orcs, there's no female orcs. Kind of like it is in Lord of the Rings, I guess.
Hold my beer.
So that could explain your past a little bit. We kind of did that with Esmeralda in the first campaign. She was a half-orc Vistani, which is kind of cool. So we can talk about that more later. I just didn't know if you got to bounce out yet.
Yeah, just a couple more minutes.
Do you want to roll on your... So here's the other option, guys. You guys can either choose to roll, or you can use the standard array.
I like 0.5. It was okay. I'm not sure how standard array works.
I think standard array is fine.
I think it makes it more balanced.
It's a choice that I'm giving each and every player. So if you want to do it, you can choose a standard array, or you can roll.
Yeah.
The rolling methods, there's 2 rolling methods. The rolling method number 1 is 46. You drop the lowest one. The second rolling method is 46, but the last roll, or the 6th one, is an autocomplete to 72 total attribute scores, or your total score to 72. I can help you out with that, but basically just randomizes it out for you more. 46, you have a greater chance to roll high or low. White, you were thinking that just you want the standard array?
Thinking it, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of what this is for exactly? That's
Your ability scores.
I rolled.
You already rolled. You can choose it if you want to. We're gonna roll now, so everybody can see your roll. How it works, guys, is any roll that's made is made in the combat log. Even when I make a roll, I don't roll in secret. It's all on the table.
Oh, okay. Then, yeah, do that now.
So you can choose a standard array, 46, or the third option which I described is called the dungeon coach method. It's 46 times 5, and the last one is autocomplete to 72. So it automatically makes sure that you have enough abilities to go to 72, just similar to the standard array. But it randomizes a little bit more. It's not just the standard array.
I was gonna ask. I might need Neil's help with my character because plot-wise, he was gonna be part of the tribe that Giants is heading from the last campaign.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that idea. I'm linking up. I'm trying to update what you guys are talking about, and I've linked in what you guys are going to play as, right? See that in the game chat in our Discord? What was I going to say? As far as the backstory of Giants, yeah, we can work that in.
Yeah.
I like that.
He's basically the clan. His background is more of a clan representative. So after Giants returns from Barovia and repairs everything, I'm basically one of the emissaries for his tribe, or for the halfling tribe. So whatever's happening within the world of Zin, he's basically reporting back to Giants.
Cool. Yeah, it totally works out.
So my subclass, I'm looking at. I'm probably going to be Gloomstalker assassin.
Yeah, so I probably might go sorcerer or something.
And I was actually thinking, for my race, one of three options: either Shadarkai, variant human because basic, I guess, or Warforged. Because I just had the idea for Warforged, and I was like, I want that.
We tried.
I've never seen Darkai.
Yeah, my first character was actually a Shadarkai. The Eldritch Knight that I played, he was Shadarkai. It's definitely a good race, especially with Raven Queen's Blessing and all of that. A lot of fun.
Okay.
So, but I'm definitely leaning towards Forged.
Johnathan, you just wanted to play a Hill Dwarf Barbarian, correct?
Yes.
And do you want to roll, or do you want to do standard array?
Wanted to roll.
Do you want to do 46 or the dungeon coach method?
What's the dungeon coach method again?
We roll 5 times. We roll 46. On the sixth roll, it's autocomplete, so you have 72 ability scores. I will help you out with it. And it balances it out so you don't get potatoed.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's always like.
It's the preferred way to. It's the new and improved way to roll, in my opinion.
We still get potatoed.
Yeah, you get like all like 0, and you get freaking that 1 that's just the 72.
So before White bounces out, White, I got you for the standard array, correct?
Yeah, just the standard array.
So I linked a link in our Discord for the character creation link. You're going to create your character, a half-orc cleric tempest domain, with the standard array.
Yep.
And then you're just going to send it over to me, and cool.
Yeah. It's half done now. All I've got to do is the background and equipment stuff, and she'll all be done.
Sounds good.
I'll do that all a bit later today. I gotta head off. So
happy Australia Day.
Yeah, absolutely. Going fishing. So
Day.
Cheers, mate.
We'll see you next week.
yes, absolutely. I'll keep you guys up to date in chat.
All right.
See you.
So,
Yes.
That's 1 down. Ashley, we have you as a tiefling fighter, correct?
yes, sir.
Do you want to do what type of rolling method do you want to do?
Standard array.
Okay. So you can already just make your character. You're already ready to go, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have a weapon?
Yeah, I started with where did I put my window?
The starting equipment or whatever it was, and you picked that?
Yeah. I chose the once it loads, the double-bladed scimitar and the
Yeah, I saw that. That was cool. One other thing, I think I didn't mention it to White. Tailspire, and I have mentioned it to you guys yesterday. I did a couple Tailspire demos with a few of you guys yesterday. Is Hero Forge is going to integrate in. So if you want to create these weapons and things, you can totally customize it in Hero Forge as the modeling software. Johnathan, let's do the rolling with you then.
Okay.
So how it works is you're going to load up D&D Beyond, right?
Uh-huh.
Let me load up, and I can see the combat log. Can you try to do a D20 roll in the combat in the campaign? Do you know how to do that?
Yeah, I remember correctly.
You just have to have the web browser or whatever opened up to do that, and that way I can see everybody can see the roll.
And you said a D20.
Yeah, just to test it out.
All right, bet. And
there you go, sweet. And you even got your little picture of the guy there. This is Evan. I like that. Okay,
thank you.
let's. Let me just look at your character sheet real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just see, because you said you did roll already.
Yes.
Let's just see if you're not super busted. Maybe we'll just keep the rolls.
He busted.
The thing is, if you are over 72, as far as the total, then you're kind of approaching busted level. Like 75, you're considered in the buffed array. It says your character's not ready.
It's not ready?
Yeah, probably because you don't have the ability scores and stuff in, right?
At the time from when I did, I was like taking
You already deleted it?
No, I didn't delete it. It's still there.
Okay.
Hold up.
It says your race, class, or ability scores aren't put in, so I think your ability scores aren't put in there.
Yeah, let me just.
Do you remember what they were?
Real quick, and all right, try now.
Okay. Yeah, it's working now. Okay. So you got 16, 14, 17, 9, 13, and 10. So what I do is I do the sum of that. So your sum is 79. So that's
slightly high.
That's slightly high. But that's normal sometimes if you roll 46. But what we'll do now is I have those scores, right? Do you want to do the 46 method or do you want to do the dungeon coach method? The dungeon coach method is going to probably nerf your character a little bit from where it is right now. By nerf, I mean balance.
let's let him have this. He's new.
It's not with level 18 armor.
Oh, good.
He's got only an AC of 15. What do you want to do, Johnathan?
I'll probably do the 46.
Okay, roll 46. We drop the lowest roll.
All right.
We roll it 6 times. Roll number 1.
I can find.
Roll it in the. So you're going to roll it in the combat log. Do you understand?
The combat log.
So we can all see it. Right? Just like if we were rolling it on the table.
Oh. Here's the first one.
Sure. Try to click it 4 times. That way you roll 4 of them in a row.
Okay. So I just did one. So let me do 3 more.
Yeah, it's okay. This is good practice.
And
so you rolled 3d6. So we'll just add them together. So we take 4 plus 5 plus 6 as your first roll of 15. Roll 46 now for the second one, right? This is the second of 6. So 5, 5, 6, 16. You're rolling really well. Roll again. Six plus 4, 16 again. Are we going to make a more busted character than the one you already came up with? Roll. I'm just going to see if you roll a couple donuts in here. We'll give you 3 charisma or something, right? Roll 46 again.
Donuts.
So 6 plus 3 plus 5, 14. Roll one more. You roll. We're going to do it 2 more times. So roll 46 again.
Eric.
There you go. 2 plus 2 plus 1, 5. What's your flaw?
And
The last one.
seems that way. Last one.
Here we go.
And I messed. Oh wait.
Oh no.
That's fine.
1 plus 1 plus 2. So you have a few.
Oh.
So if here's the thing. What I've done here, see, I sum totaled it, and you have 70. But the standard array is 72. So you've actually underrolled the average, where your previous ability scores was 79. Okay?
Uh-huh.
What we'll do, instead of giving you 2 potatoes, we'll change that 4. Let's change the 4 to a 9. So we'll make him we'll kind of listen to Logan and make him slightly buffed, but not super busted. So instead of having a total of 79 like you did originally, you'll have a total of 75, which is still good. But you will have 2 scores that are sort of a flaw, okay? So your scores, I will link them here, is 15, 16, 16, 14, 5, and 9. Do you understand?
Okay.
I'm going to link them in chat for you. Those are your ability scores that you rolled. All we did with the last one, buddy, is we just buffed it a little bit. You're still above average, okay? But what I like about this method of rollings over, say, the standard array is that you have one ability that you're bad at, right? Or something that you have a character, either a low intelligence, you have a dump stat or whatever, right? Or whatever you want to call it. Cool. So there's your character. And then put them together and then let me know when you got them together. And we should be good to go. Let's go to, so that fixes Johnathan. Let's go down the list here. Pablo and then Logan. Pablo, what do you want to do? You want to make a Halfling Sorcerer or Halfling Warlock?
Yeah. I am probably going to make a Halfling Sorcerer.
Okay. Do you want to use, what rolling method do you want to do?
I think I'm going to challenge myself this time, so I'm going to go standard array.
Are you sure? Rolling so much fun now.
Which one?
Rolling is so much fun and random.
I know. You know what? Let's go roll. Let's do a roll.
So if we roll, if you're below 72, we just bump it to 72. But
Okay.
if you're over
46.
72, you'll be busted.
All right.
Yeah, so let's roll it up. 46 one time, and then I'll keep track of them.
6, 5, 6, 19.
So we got 6 plus 2 plus... No, you didn't roll. You're not rolling in the thing, buddy. You got to roll in the combat log.
Oh, roll in the I thought I did.
No. You might
Am I
also
in the
have the
wrong
roll.
one?
Yeah, you're in the wrong one. You also might have toggle to make sure you're also rolling to everyone from the drop down on the right hand side.
Oh, I manually put it in. So if I head back to the character sheet, will it just overwrite it, or?
Yeah, it should. There's like several ways to enter in. You can hit the override ability score when you put it in your D&D Beyond character sheet.
So if I go back.
Yeah, just change it up. Slight nerf to your guy, but from the original rolls.
Are we still in Zin or no?
Yeah, we're still in the custom link.
Okay.
Do you see that link that I sent out? Do you want me to send it out again?
No. My character's in Zin already, so.
Cool.
Let me just let me see if I can change it again. To all the thing. Was it? You said roll to everybody?
Yeah, so we can see the roll. Did you roll 46?
Let me see, because I'm trying to go back to my thing here, and I'm probably just running around in circles.
Oh boy. Logan, do you want me to come to you now since Pablo's having
Yeah,
technical
just go to
difficulties?
him next.
So Logan, I got you down as a ranger.
Yes.
Or do you want
Right
to change
now.
it? This is your last chance to change it up.
Hmm.
I mean, we do
Yeah,
have two
I-
casters now that Pablo is going to
Yeah,
play a
it's
sorcerer.
all, like I'm not debating on what I'm gonna do. I'm debating on which class I want to start with,
Okay.
ranger or rogue.
It's up to you, bud.
But I mean, considering it's gonna be until level 6 till I actually get both the subclasses, anyways.
So about 30 sessions in.
Bro, yeah,
I don't know.
honestly, I'd say go ranger. Just go the meta way. Just go ranger, because that extra attack, and then you don't have
Yeah,
to do
we
a ranger ever
actually
again.
right midline. So yeah, I'll go Gloomstalker Ranger, a Warforged Gloomstalker Ranger.
You want to play a Warforged, though?
Yep.
We did play with a Warforged last campaign with Giants, who was the Mad Mage. Like, these gnomes, basically, in the world of Zen, are able to program these Warforges. And they used them
Yep, hence
to try to, they're the guys who are doing the gears and everything like that.
Yeah,
I'm
the
going
machines.
Clockwork Soul.
I'm thinking something along the lines of he was created a long while ago for to help out sticking with the theme of Shadar-kai, to help out the Shadar-kai elves and stuff, and then he eventually was given the task of assassination and stuff like that, and he grew into that. So now he's just kind of an assassination bot, and I'll explain the rest of his backstory to you. But
He's an HK-47.
Yeah, Lice, he's like that robot in Star Wars.
Oh,
Mandalorian.
K2.
Yeah,
oh no,
I love
he
K2
uses
as
a bow instead of
he's the assassination
his
robot.
hands.
So do you want to, okay, so we're going to have you start off as a ranger, right?
Yep.
Okay, Gloomstalker.
Yep, Gloomstalker Ranger.
Now, we've buffed rangers in our game.
Yeah.
Tasha's talks about either or type options. You probably can't implement them yet. I don't know how you can do it through D&D Beyond. I don't think you can. But
Yeah, that's why I
basically, I give you all the abilities of the base ranger kit from the player's handbook, plus all the Tasha's one. Because rangers, by and large, just need a buff. But that way, this helps rangers. Because all the stuff from the player's handbook is, in my opinion, sort of flavor-like. Where the stuff from Xanathar's is really helps out with combat. So you get best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Do you want to use a standard array, or do you want to roll?
Like I think I've mentioned to you before, I've used I like using point buy because of the customization, but if I have to choose one of the two, so standard arrays where you just get a set numbers and you can put them into whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. That's your numbers.
15, 14, 13, 12, and 8. Okay. I could definitely work with that.
Okay. So you want to use a standard array? There should be an
Yeah.
option in the D&D Beyond thing for you to choose that as your role type. Cool.
Trying to find that.
Let me go back to Pablo then real quick. So try to make your character sheet using a standard array. Pablo, do you
Yeah,
want to
I'm trying-
roll, or do you want to use the standard array?
I'll roll.
Okay,
I'm
roll it
trying
up.
to figure
Let
out
me
how
see
to
it.
make it to everybody.
So you have the game log panel toggled in D&D Beyond. In the top right, there's a drop down. It says roll 2, self, and then everyone
Let's see.
is a part of the drop down.
I see the drop down.
Do you see it where you can select everyone?
Just the game log only.
Try to roll a d20. Lice, what's your character's name?
Her name is Rue.
Cool. Oh, there we go.
Oh, to everyone. Yeah, I see it.
There we go.
Yeah, you should see it.
Nice.
17.
Roll a 46.
Might just
Okay, rolled to everyone.
4.
You should say it.
So
Now,
you got
15.
Yep. So how it works is you got we dropped the lowest one. So 5 plus 4 plus 4. 13.
17.
6 plus 4 plus 6. 16. 5
13.
plus 4 plus 3. 12. 6
15.
plus 3 plus 4. 13. Rolling pretty good.
Give me the potato.
I'm waiting
Just
for
kidding.
it.
There's your potato.
There we go. 5 plus 1 plus 3.
3 is
9.
10.
That's just really almost like a standard array. What's one last roll?
What am I really going to be bad at?
Charisma. Wait,
There
you're
we
a
go.
sorcerer, right?
I'm a sorcerer. I can't be
Can't
bad
be.
at charisma.
You can't be. Your strength is shit.
You actually.
Well, dang it.
So your total roll was 75. So you actually rolled above average. Do you understand, Pablo?
Okay.
So I'm
You
going to
get
link them in.
potato.
I'm going to link in here. You do have one sort of bad attribute, which is the 9, but it's not too bad. So use those, make your character sheet, and we're pretty much ready to go. Logan, do you got your character sheet ready to go?
I am attempting very
figuring it out?
attemptedly. I'm getting going on it.
This is your time to ask questions too. If you have questions, comments, concerns.
Well, before I started asking, I mean, then again, I don't actually.
Okay, where did you put the stats again?
I linked them in our game chat.
Okay, link in game chat. Thank you.
What's your character's name, Pablo?
Ooh,
You already
I'm
have
gonna
him as
name him-
Eldrick.
Elric. Yeah.
There we go. I just kind of edited it there. And the other one was... Okay, cool. I'm shocked. My brother hasn't shown up yet, but you know he did have an emergency, so it is what it is. I will deal with him later.
So we're gonna have a face, probably multiple faces at that. We're gonna have our strength guys in the form of the 2.5 front lines that we have. So I'm just trying to choose what skills. Like I'm trying to cover things that aren't going to be covered.
Okay, cool. I got Rue is there, and then Zevin is there as well. Cool. I'm going to also help rename it in Discord. So I will give you a nickname tied to your character name. So
I guess
people
that's,
kind of know who you are.
Goodbye, Derma.
I just straight up get.
So like, for instance, with Phantom, I just changed you to Zevin in our Discord. This helps me out too.
Much appreciated.
As
Yep.
do Shadar-kai elves? This is something I always get confused with. Do Shadar-kai elves speak Elvish or Undercommon?
Like when it comes to like creating other races and backstory, I've mentioned this to other players. Just go with it, man. Just do whatever you want to do. We can put them in the world.
I know. I'm
Whatever
just
way you
wondering
want.
because depending on what they speak, I'll have.
If you want me to
My
make
back-
it easy for you, I can tell you the story about the world itself, and especially in the continent of Orin, where the story will start. Southwest of where you guys are going to begin, there's a forest. The forest had the great Gaia tree that was eventually taken over by the hordes of darkness. The elves fled to the southern continent, all the wood elves, but they longed to return back and to restore the great tree of the forest. So I don't know how that fits in with the story. But if you want to be a part of that story, that's cool too. You know, one thing in our previous campaign that was an option that I opened the door for the players was they could gather 3 of the ambers of Barovia. Instead of sacrificing those ambers and debuffing the big bad guy, they could have actually taken those ambers back to the forest of the great oak. I can actually look up the map and tell you exactly what the names of these places are. The Great Tree, though, or the kind of like the Oak of Ages, and they could restore this tree, and then it would create an event where all the elves of the world would know that the tree was restored, and they would return back to their homeland.
Did we?
But you guys
go over
decided
the premise
yet.
of today's story?
We didn't follow up with Dwarma. Dwarma went with Lice to the Isles, the Elven Isles, and
Oh, yeah, that's
he
right.
was trying to figure out how to remove his lichdom.
Another question.
Sure.
Does Underdark even exist in this world?
The Underdark? I like the concept. We actually ran a mini adventure of the Underdark. I know it exists in Forgotten Realms, but yeah, it exists. So there's like Drow and Durgar and all the creatures of the Underdark. I think the Underdark is a really cool concept.
Yeah, Underdark is Drow, not Drow. Oh my gosh.
No, you're right. Durgar are part of the Underdark. They're just the Dark Dwarf, like the Dark Iron
Dwarfs.
Dwarves. Yeah.
So I do have a question. What
Yeah.
would the new premise be for our campaign?
I'll go into that once we start.
Oh my! Oh, I thought that was already covered. So
Well, you can have you don't need to have your backstory ready today. Your backstory can come in later or now, whenever. Like Lice sent me some stuff. It's one of those things we build upon, you know, of familiar places, and also feel free to also improv. You can just improv it in. It doesn't need, your story is just beginning. You're unmuted there, buddy.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, so just a bit of an FYI. I modified the clock. I did Clockwork Soul, but I modified it, so
Oh,
now
God.
I can change the spells listed. So if you can see, I have like two. I have, instead of the usual ones, I didn't change the names. I actually changed their positions according to what the rules were.
Yeah, as long as it's just the rules as written, buddy. As long
Yep.
as you're not step, okay. I know you kind of like to customize it a little bit. That's cool.
It was something that I was digging into and wanted to help Giants out when he did that. So instead of changing the names, it was more like I actually was able to change the spells. And unfortunately, until D&D Beyond can find a way to fix that, that's the go-to method for it.
Cool. Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
Not really, other than
Your character should be able to be created then. It should be ready to go.
yeah, I'm going on it, but it's like, so with the ranger.
Here's the other
I
thing.
get-
Here was another rule I heard up today, by the way, guys, as far as like character creation. I don't agree with this rule. Like, this guy was like, yeah, if a character dies, he comes back in the party, but he's 2 levels lower. I don't like that. You come in as the same level, but it's okay to have like a backup character too, and we just weave it into the story. Like, we're not writing a novel, so it's like your character just comes right in. You know, if a character dies, I'll try to weave you in the next encounter. It's not like I'm gonna have you sit at the table for 2 hours. So it's okay.
Yeah.
But I know that you will get attached to your characters, but you know the dice can just be random and cruel.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I just drop my characters into my novels.
But I was gonna ask, because you said that rangers get all of their optional features as well as their regular ones.
Yeah, I just something to keep in mind. So like you get like the favored foe option for the 1d4
Yeah,
damage,
foe.
plus you also get like a monster that you want to track or whatever.
Favorite enemy. Yeah. Which, speaking of that,
I don't. I think
So
so. D&D Beyond doesn't allow for this logic, which I'm talking to you about.
Yeah.
Just do the best you can, but just keep in mind, like you can just mention it to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have everything in a separate app on my phone as well. So I'm gonna completely editable, all that. So I'm just gonna add everything in that I can't on D&D Beyond here. Otherwise, it's gonna be completely the same. But so it fits in with his backstory of being an assassin and all of that. But his two favored enemies are two of the most common races in the game. Which is unintentional. I'm not trying to min-max with that. I promise it just makes sense for his backstory. I feel bad. Because it's humans and elves.
Here comes Neil.
Hey, yo!
He's coming in.
Whoa, human who isn't here yet.
His camera's off or he's connecting.
Yeah.
Probably connected.
He's connected.
Oh, there it is.
I like it if you want to have a backstory. All your backstory will really do from my end is there's a way for me to integrate it in with a story more. The problem is with backstories I've had in the previous game, for instance, or stories that are keyed around a particular class or player, is sometimes that player just doesn't show up for a session, they miss it or something like that, and it's like, well, that kind of fell through. Like an example was with Shaq and the Ambers. And so that, like, he wasn't even there for that final battle to get the amber, and the decision for him to like what he actually wanted to do with all the ambers. If you guys remember, because he was doing the movie shoot, he was out doing the movie thing, which is totally cool. And I had planned this thing out like since the inception of the campaign, and lo and behold, just stuff comes up. My emphasis about backstory, like. Don't you like Logan? I think is the most like into the backstory concept, which is cool.
Oh God, yes.
But I honestly as a DM, like I have the world and stuff like that, and all your backstory will do is impact the world, and the world has to fit into sort of the archetype of the way it's already existed. But it's one of those things we can discuss and talk about. For our first session, it's not super imperative. But as the story goes on, you can mention this, and again, you can just improv it. You can be like, "I know a guy. I'm gonna just fucking roll with it." Let's go to Winky, real quick. Winky the Wonderful. I linked in our game chat, Winky, the party makeup, and I have you as a bard. Are you gonna play a gnome?
No, I was gonna do a half elf.
Okay, you want to change it up?
You are my favorite enemy. Beware.
And you were thinking the College of Lore. You don't need to decide on your subclass now, but it's just something to think about.
I think so.
Okay, cool. Did you want to use a standard array, or did you want to roll 46?
I don't even know what I did. I can re-roll. I'm trying to see what I did. Let's see.
Before we begin, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Neil. I live in central Pennsylvania. I do enjoy a little bit of D&D because it's enjoyable to kind of get a different experience. I've always found it interesting, the kind of medieval themes, and then just different classes or races or how it's integrated into a story. I can always imagine kind of some really interesting stories. I don't know what this campaign is going to be like, but I'm always interested in a fun, like kind of like a challenge. I've never played a bard before. I'm usually the fighter or barbarian. Just recently, the last campaign, I was a Hexblade Watcher's paladin, but he got shit on really badly by the main character. And then I had subsequent characters that all also died as well. And so
Got the worst of it.
yeah, so I ended the campaign as a ghost-wise gnome sorcerer, which again I've never been a caster before. Again, the paladin was the closest I've ever been. And so now I'm trying something totally different with bard, because just something different. It seems like kind of fun to potentially be like a support class and since I understand a lot of the dynamic of the game, I feel like this could actually be like a really cool kind of glue to a unit. And looking, I think, at the composition, let me see our group composition.
Like you're the
looks pretty
spellcaster
cool,
with
right?
Dwarma, basically.
Yeah. So, which is
We're gonna
actually
be-
pretty neat too. So, yeah, I'm actually really interested in seeing how this all shakes out.
You
So,
only
yeah,
need
so-
to remember one thing. Seduce the chair.
What is it?
Seduce the chair.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, typical bard things.
Yeah, just typical bard thing.
Just bard things.
Seduce everything.
I will try my best.
One running gag in our party could possibly be this, because now I'm a clockwork sorcerer like Giants. So one thing we could do is have a seducing contest or something.
Oh, interesting.
Who can seduce the most inanimate objects first?
Yes.
He's
But
gonna be sitting in the back, just like, what is going on?
right.
Well, thank
Logan,
you.
he's your other power gamer.
Thank you for introducing yourself, Winky.
Yeah.
Do you want to roll? Do you want to roll 46, or you want the standard array? Or do you
I
want to
say
use?
fuck it. No, I say fuck it. Let's roll for it.
So go to the combat log and roll 46.
Ooh. Okay.
Or you can use the dungeon coach method, which is just 5 times 46, and then the last one averages it up or down to 72.
Sounds complicated. We'll just do it this way.
Okay.
So you can see that, like what I just rolled, for example.
No, I did. You have to make it a public roll, right? Or the roll to everyone.
That was a good roll too. Let's try this.
Ooh, can I name all my spells this time?
Oh, there it is.
You can do whatever
You
you
can see
want.
that.
Yes. You got a 5. So
Okay.
it's 5 plus
Okay.
5 plus 4. So 14 is the first roll.
Are you writing this down, or
Yep.
yeah, I can write it down.
I'm writing it
Okay.
down, and then I'm going to link it to you in the game chat.
Yahtzee.
So 5 plus 1 plus 2, 8.
Hello, strength.
5 plus 3 plus 3, 11.
Ooh, that's a good one.
6 plus 6 plus 5, 17. 4 plus 4 plus 6, 14.
Another one.
One last one.
Peanuts.
Pretty good. 6 plus 6 plus 5, another 17, right?
All right.
Let's see what the
Oh,
total
you're
is.
gonna link it to me.
Your total is much higher than the average. So
Yeah,
we should
Power
probably
game, baby.
should we nerf you a little bit?
Oh, I don't care.
You roll
I think
too
it'd be
well for
pretty
your
funny
own
to
good.
have a buff bard.
Yeah, why can't I have a shredded bar?
Boy, a big buff boy.
I don't mind that you have two 17s, but I think we should balance it out a little bit.
Sure.
Basically, the average is 72. Right now, you're at 81, which is very high.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to think how I could do it. Do you want to have a couple really high scores, or you want to kind of middle it out a little bit?
Man, whatever you want. That's why I rolled, because I was just gonna go totally random.
I mean, you're probably gonna obviously you'll
Okay.
charisma and deck.
I won't-
typically the best.
How about this? Let's do this. This is the roll idea.
I don't plan on multi-classing. I'm just going like.
There we go. So basically, I
All the
took
way.
your second roll and I changed it. I nerfed that roll down, I think.
Okay.
So you have 2 bad rolls, but then you have 4 really good rolls,
Someone-
essentially. Does that work for you?
Once you stats.
I will do what I can.
Cool. Logan, do you have your character sheet ready?
Oh goodness, I haven't been working on it. I was
Get it
just
done.
about to- I
So we
know,
can
I'm
play.
trying, I'm sorry.
Just
I
put.
would-
You don't need to finalize it. Just, I mean, make sure you have a weapon, and put your
Yeah.
ability scores in. We can always edit it later.
Yep.
Yeah, I was about to ask, am I the only one who's planning on multi-classing?
No, but we don't know
I'm
that.
multi-classing
Into what?
Warlock.
Oh, okay. Oh, right, you said that. Okay.
I'm going Sarlacc.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Or are we having
Probably
our barbarian and fighter gear throughout?
Winky, are you ready to go? Did you put your
I'm
ability
just-
scores in?
Yeah, I'm plugging in the ability scores, and then I
Okay.
can't figure out quite what's happening here. Let me. I'd have to look and see like what is that.
I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes, and then we're going to start the game.
Oh no, I'm scared.
So if you need to take a bathroom break or a snack break, this is the time.
Okay. How T minus to what? 5 minutes?
Let's give everybody
3 minutes?
a few minutes to finalize their character sheets before we start.
Oh,
I'll be
I
right
see.
back.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay.
Christmas.
You walked away.
Do you remember, guys? Is he doing it like to where if I'll just use my character as an example, charisma by 2 and 2 other ability scores by 1? Does that mean I can put the 4 anywhere, or is he saying like 2 charisma and then 1 for each other? Do you know if what he's doing? Does
Is
make
that for
sense?
just the?
I mean, that might be your racial stat bonus.
Correct. Sometimes
You
he
can
lets
just
us
put that
flex
anywhere, I
anywhere.
think.
Okay.
That's what I did. He didn't say
I
anything
mean,
about it.
as a high elf, I'm pretty sure you get your charisma and you get intelligence.
So I
So
get
it
2
is
like-
charisma and then 1 of each
Nice.
other. So I'm just gonna crank up charisma and just be a total idiot at 8 intelligence.
When I was setting up my variant, and when he was telling me to do my character sheet, I kept on trying to fix it to the stats he gave me, and I was like wondering, like, my Constitution is at 15. Why is it boosted so high up above that? And I was like, oh right, because I'm a dwarf.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That'll do it.
Hey DM.
Yep.
So we're just asking just to make sure. So half elves get +2 to charisma and +1 in each other. I can put these anywhere, or
Let
are
me
you
take a look.
staying to like? Okay.
So basically, there's a few ways to do racial attributes. Under the Tasha's rules, you can manipulate any of these racial bonuses into any class or any other ability score. Sorry, the terminology kind of gets me sometimes, guys. Let me look up half elves real quick.
I have a slight problem with the assassin background that I wanted to choose. Oh wait, custom background. Never mind.
Yep. You want to go to so basically half elves get. Is that right? They get +2 to charisma, and then any 2 unique abilities, they get another +1 into any other one. So you get +1 into something else, +1 into something else.
You just want me to follow that like purely,
Yeah.
or can I do like +2 charisma, +2 wisdom or something?
No, you can't add. You have to add plus. How rules is
+1,
written.
+1. All right.
Yeah, you can't merge them up. I don't know if the rule in Tasha's allows for that. I know that they're trying to change some of that. I think it's how they're working in the new rules that are coming out, is they give +2 to any, +1 to any.
I'll pocket
Something
this
like
too.
that. I like, in my opinion, I like the fact that races have their own unique abilities, essentially, or bonuses to their own specific ability score increases, personally. Because it gives a sense of identity to that particular race. What was your question, Logan?
Nothing. I'm good now.
Do you have your sheet ready to go?
Not completely. I'm really trying hard.
Is like your attributes put in and stuff, though? Is your D&D Beyond name Celestial Ember?
Yes, Celestial Ember.
Okay.
I just needed to look up that quick. I'm on the description right now and like background and stuff.
You can put that in later. It's okay. You can put it in later, bud. You don't need to finalize it right now. We don't need to have the entire history, the annals of your character, right? We're not. You can work on it this week if you want.
The background isn't the stuff that gives me the stats.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, pick that up. Whatever you want to do.
He already has like 3 languages. Oh, it just.
We're
Well,
gonna start in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Well, if you don't have a skill known, you can always get a spell that eventually gets it. Or that
Pablo,
does it.
can you turn your camera down a little bit? You're getting chopped off. There you go.
I'll just whatever. I'll just put.
Let's play with it. Play with it. Have fun with it.
And Logan, you can always talk with me throughout the week if you need to change something.
Yeah, no worries.
Cool.
It's kind of my fault it's taking so long because I've whatever.
It's cool. As Rue will soon find out, characters come and go in the world of Zen.
Oh no, don't tell me that.
Winky, are you ready to
Yeah,
go?
I'm expecting him to eventually die if this goes on long enough. Like, I don't want like 2 sessions in and then all of a sudden he's dead and then I'm like, oh,
Yeah, that's gonna suck, but
I'll be sad.
tis the nature of D&D.
Wait, actually, no.
Like I was like Ash, just like I was just telling you, like I lost my original Sorlock in another game, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
it happens. I was devastated.
So if you guys can, please load into Tailspire.
All right.
I will try to summon you to the board, so you want to have Steam loaded up and Tailspire ready to go.
I upgraded my RAM, so
Nice.
hopefully this will work.
You're still getting chopped off a little bit. If you want to turn your camera down a smidge.
Camera.
I don't know if it's attached to a laptop they're using though. So
Oh, the mic.
no, you're always like this is what you look like, Torma. I can't even do it because my camera's so wide lensed. The camera, you're like always like this. It's like I can just see your eyes move.
Oh.
I know what he
See-
looks like, so I don't have to worry
It's
about
like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Neil. Yeah, like that.
I'm trying
See,
to
that's not
summon
a
you
camera
guys
problem.
into Tailspire if we can.
That's not a camera problem. That's a me problem.
Hey, DM, out
Yeah.
of curiosity, do you know roughly what levels we're going to? Like from level 1 to level...
To beyond.
to
Yeah,
infinity
okay.
and
Probably
beyond.
11.
Honestly, if this is just one of those things where we're just getting the group together and we'll see where it goes.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me load up.
Now I gotta change my name.
I have no idea where this adventure will go.
Going around like a friggin' chicken with my head cut off.
I'm trying to
So
get
we're
you
all
guys in
walking
a...
into Tailspire?
Yeah, you want to get into Tailspire because now we actually need to pick models.
Yeah, I am getting up Tailspire.
We
I went
already
into
got...
the old-
You went into the what? Old what place?
I went into the old one. I don't know if that's the right one.
You're playing a tiefling, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to pull out some tiefling models.
Alright,
You got halfling models?
I think so. No, you
Okay.
left Lice. Stay there.
Oh, I did? Okay.
Come back.
I didn't know if that was the right one. I was like, am I in the right one? I think so.
No, you are.
Yeah, is it the same one that you sent before?
So, yes, it was the same invite code and stuff, and I think players can join automatically if my game is like up and stuff. They can already kind of join.
I can join when you're offline. I just have to sit in this little waiting room thing with the corners.
Oh, really? I see players joining up. Cool, cool. I think we got everybody in here, maybe, except for you, Pablo.
I'll let that load quickly in the background.
Let me give you permission here to Silver. There's the demons and stuff right over here. That the only demon models they got. This one's kind of like a halfling demon.
Yeah, too
So,
short.
which one did you want to play out of these three? This
I'm
one's the
thinking
most
the
fighter
middle
one.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I will call him Haru. Or try to.
Are you?
And then we will make this model unique.
Should I get a poisonous tip on my
There you go. So we have your model picked. We already picked out the dwarf model, right?
Ooh.
From last time? Yeah.
I don't know if we named him though.
Is it the awesome guy with the brewery on his back?
I know, I like that model. No, it's this guy right here. And we called him Zevin, right?
Yeah.
There we go. So I'm
Man,
pulling out your guys' models here. Zevin, you're there. Zevin, you're in this. Make sure we got you. Yeah, you should be able to be in. Zevin, you should be able to move your character. Try to move your character a little bit. There you go. Perfect. Let's go to Winky. Winky is a half elf.
later?
Please use my full name when referring to me, Winky the Wonderful.
Oh gosh.
Winky Wandabulous. No, I'm
Try,
just kidding.
trying to get a character here.
Oh, I'm not sure whether Winky would be seductive or intimidating or something.
Okay, I found a model that's kind of like an aristocratic elf model, which is kind of cool.
It was going to be Max the Magnificent.
Maximus the
Winky's
Magnificent.
better. I like Winky.
There you go.
Yeah, right.
Maybe the wonky one.
Ah.
Do you like this guy?
Yeah, just let him go so I can stare at him. That's perfect because I literally have a rapier and I have what's it called? A whistle stick. So yes.
Oh, whistle
stick. I love it.
Perfect.
Oh no.
I'm like a founding father, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
I'm actually surprised though. Our racial roles have been reversed.
Apparently.
Yeah, I went to a high elf to a tiefling, so
Uh,
wouldn't be the first time, but you know, it's a
Right.
little different.
It says that I'm in the campaign, I think.
Great.
In the what's it called? Like my character.
I'm in it.
Okay, great. I see you're in Tailspire. What's your race
Yeah,
now?
nothing is loading for some reason
Yeah,
now.
the reason why it hasn't loaded is because I haven't given you permission. What's your race, Logan?
Oh, Warforged.
See if we can find it. I'm trying to remember what we used for Alistair. This is we used a model, a construct model like this.
Yeah.
And you want to play a ranger? What's your character's name?
I mean, it's technically not historically accurate, but I want to keep with what his name was before, Ethan. So you guys can call me, whatever. Call me Ethan, call me Logan, call me whatever.
Elric.
There you go, Ethan. Do you see that I put you in? I've given you a model. Now let me see if this one works.
Where am I? I can't see me. No.
Try to move your character.
This
There you
guy?
go. Yep.
Oh. He has a stick.
Yeah. It's not perfect.
Damn.
Or just
this
if you want to complain, go to the Tailspire Discord and bitch at the developers and help them integrate the Hero Forge shit.
They're trying so hard.
Yeah, no, we need to motivate them a little
what's
harder.
your AC, dang it? I'm gonna hit you.
For instance,
What's
they don't
your
really have
Never mind,
any.
I'm not gonna hit you.
Like the problem is they don't have very good construct models. Ethan.
I did.
So there you go, though. That's the one we'll use for now.
Yeah, that's fine.
We have
I mean, he's gonna have like a big, he's gonna have like a hood up and stuff, and it's like unless he actively shows someone, they're probably at first glance you wouldn't know he's a construct or
Okay.
Warforged. So
There's Sven. Okay, so we have 4. Who am I missing here? I'm missing Pablo. You are playing a halfling?
Yes, I'm playing a halfling.
Or halfling, that's the real name.
Halfling.
You're playing a sorcerer?
Why did I disappear?
Okay, there's kind of a halfling sorcerer model right here. And I'll show you a couple models here. There you go, Dwarma. There's a couple models.
Okay. Elric.
Here's another one that's okay. And there's the last one. I think it's a female, though, unfortunately.
I'll take the one that looks like a female.
You want this one?
I mean, it looks. I don't know.
I think this one is. I think this one is the best one you got right here.
Okay. How do I?
Red.
Use the scroll wheel.
Scroll.
Scroll wheel.
Scroll.
This one I'm highlighting for you. I think is the best model.
And then your Wazda to.
This is the only other one, but it's kind of like Bilbo with the sword or something.
Bilbo.
He's got a big old nose too. Do you want to use this model right here?
I'll use that model. This one.
Okay. Let's make him unique. Let me get you back out here too, Logan. I messed up.
Move this
I
to full
left my
screen.
people.
You go into settings and you have to make it full screen. Typically, if it shows up initially as like windowed, your computer probably can't run it at the best full screen. You just mess with the
Elric.
Settings.
Is that how you say your name?
Mm-hmm.
Elric?
Yes, Elric.
Okay, Elric is there. Let's get out. What's his name again?
I've noticed the best way to roll dice in Tailspire is to just shake it and then drop it. Gets you better numbers.
Ethan,
You
there
say
you are.
that a 3, I'm a left.
Ethan, you're back on the table, so you should be good.
Yay!
Okay, so we got everybody here. Are we ready to begin?
Yeah. You cursed me.
We have about 40 minutes left of game time. I think we can start the game a little bit, guys. How's that sound?
Weird.
Does anybody else have any questions before we begin?
It was more like a dark vision question, to be honest.
Sure.
So, okay, say like, I've always wondered about this, considering those who with dark vision. But like, when you're outside in the daytime, do you just is your sight just naturally brighter than other people?
No.
No.
How
never thought about
dark
that
vision
before.
works is whenever it's dark, you can see up to however far your dark vision is, but you can only see in black and white. And then
Oh, okay.
and then
I
when
was
you're
just
out during
wondering
the
if
day,
like life's just thrown in
just
your
normal.
face, you just get instantly blinded.
I mean, that's how it works for Drow. Sunlight sensitivity.
All right, that's all I wanted to know.
Any other questions? Ready to go. The adventure can begin.
I just have to make sure I'm choosing the right stats on this.
You ready to go, Logan? Okay, cool. It doesn't need to be perfect. In fact, it's okay if a little bit is scuffed. Just adds
I know, I'm not
character.
worried about the D&D Beyond character sheet. I'm just worried about my own personal one.
Okay.
My own.
For decades, the land of Zin has been plagued by the hordes of the darkness. Civilizations fell, one by one, and served under her crushing power. It was truly the final war. A war that ended the age of man. And all progress halted as mighty kingdoms fell. The scrolls of history ceased to be written. The world was covered in her darkness. Ignorance and inescapable fear seized the very hearts of mortal souls. Then, not long ago, the world shook. A quake so mighty, it ripped apart the sky and was felt through every crevice of Orin. The sages say it is a sign, a changing of times, A new age is upon us. The age of the darkness is over, and her power wanes. The lands are chaotic. Masters, lords, and kings of noble houses who ruled the kingdoms of Zin now step into the vacant power left by the weakness of the dark goddess. The streets are ripe. The streets are painted with the innocent's blood. One tyrant has seemed to replace another. The world is cruel and ravaged by disorder. Once an ancient pillar and bastion of the kingdoms of men, the mighty city of Stormbrook is now potentially one such place, ruled by a despot. Recently liberated from the clutches of the hordes of darkness, this is where our adventure begins.
I guess.
Valerian!
Oh my gosh. I knew I should have picked I knew I should have picked Locke for this one.
I didn't know if you would, so.
Turns out he didn't.
Yep.
It's cold, dark, dank beneath the arena. Something is dripping. Sweat? Blood? Your focus from the dripping sound is overcome by the bloodthirsty cheers and chants from the drunk audience. They break you from your nervous state. One of the local fighters must have just struck a killing blow. What do you do?
Can you describe like where we are? It sounds like we're below an arena.
It's dimly lit. Dripping sounds. The crowd can be heard from outside. You're in one of the fighting pits in Stormbrook. I'm sorry, yeah, Stormbrook. The year is 431. It's springtime. But
I
you're...
have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How many is this years after Curse of Strahd or weeks or
Weeks.
days? Okay.
The earthquake, which ripped apart the mountain and destroyed the Ember Temple, caused a mighty earthquake felt throughout the entire land. Is it a sign of something greater? As the forces of the darkness have been repelled and weakened. You question that yourself. Let me get all your names right. Elric. You question that as your belly begins to ache. You are hungry. And you spent the last of your coin. Everybody rolls a d20. This determines if you have any gold left from your character creation.
Pocket me some gold.
I just sat on the 20 in the corner of the 20. Why would you start me off like that?
Got a 5.
Winky, did you roll the 19 or you were just practice rolling before? Okay,
He rolled an 8.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, that's what I rolled.
So we need to have, this is like our practice game too, guys, to help you guys get integrated with the technology and stuff we're using, right? So, Sven, you need to roll, Zevin, you need to roll a d20. And then Ethan needs to roll a d20 and D&D Beyond, correct.
Right. Oh, and D&D Beyond. Yeah.
Give me a second.
I'm not
I was
even
on
sure how to
Tailspire
get
and
there.
Tailspire black screened me.
They black screened you at death? Try to go into a windowed mode in Tailspire if you can.
Oh, right.
I gotta control alt delete this.
Oh boy.
Alt 4. Just all 4. Alt F4.
Alright.
Just forget about it. Just forget about it.
There we go. Jeez.
Right.
Now my full screen looks
I'm not
8-bit.
sure how to get to the.
So you're in the campaign, you're in your character sheet, and you just, in the
Yeah.
bottom left, there's an icon.
Oh, there's a dice. Okay.
Yep, and then you can just click that dice. It scrolls up to particular dice numbers, and then you roll it. So I see Sven rolls a 14, and then Ethan
14.
with a how do you say your last name?
Zufa Fintra.
Okay.
You did all those Russian names last time. You can do that one.
I'll try my best. So nobody rolled like really high, like they needed to roll like an 18 or higher. Basically, you have either 1 gold or less on your character sheet now. If you have any
broken.
remaining gold left
I already
over,
have 1 gold.
if you haven't spent any of your gold, you found yourselves in the fighting pits of Stormbrook. Desperate and hungry.
Not hungry because I'm a Warforged.
That's true.
I don't need food unlike you mere flesh sacks.
Yeah, you're the skinniest one here.
Yeah. He's meant to be. I'm meant to be strong.
Does that mean one of us are next?
I'm
Yeah.
unsure.
Could be.
I don't know. It sounds like we all got captured and now are being used for entertainment purposes.
You're not captured. You're
By the
free
way,
men
Ethan is.
or women.
Oh, so and that. Dang it.
Oh,
Ethan is-
good. Okay, let's.
You asked that question. Trying to get I get all the names right, guys.
Elric.
Rue and a hardened gladiator.
Oh, oopsie.
Like,
Didn't
so
mean to do that.
I'll describe where you're kind of at a little bit more. The light is like, imagine you're below like the Roman Colosseum, and like there's like it's dimly lit, but a gladiator, a hardened gladiator who has his own short sword and spear, his chest is bare. He has a kilt and shin guards. On top of his helmet, his face is covered. His body, which is somewhat bare, is riddled with scars. On the top of his helmet is a skull. And he says, "The head merchant will call us when we're ready."
Noted.
I will link you a picture of him. So how it works,
Ethan-
guys, in our game chat and Discord, I link you our World Anvil stuff. The World Anvil has pictures and things like that to help increase immersion in the game. And if I'm smart, I'll be able to do it over to Tailspires. There we go.
Ethan is just kind of sitting against a wall, like almost not paying attention to anyone else, but he secretly is. It seems like he isn't, but he's very attentive.
What do you
I
guys
tell
do?
the what's his name? The gladiator's like, oh my god, you need a shower.
Agreed. I
This
can
place is
smell him from
abs-
here.
This place is absolutely filthy down here. What brought me to this place anyways?
I imagine the same reason it brought me. Gold.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say women or for the thrill of the crowd.
I thought you just wanted to fight.
A young boy, you say that, Rue, and a young boy turns over to you. His like wide eye, he has a sling. He's 11 years old. He doesn't have the mark of a slave, but he says to you, "I'm fighting to free my sister." I'll link you a picture. If I fight and do a good job, Master will release my sister. What do you guys
You,
do?
Child?
my sweet child, should not be fighting.
That's barbaric.
They proposed you to fight?
Well, I have to do my best. And he says if I put on a good show, then, you know, or if I die here, my sister will be freed.
And who's the master?
The gladiator Seth turns over to you and says, Nico.
Doesn't sound very pleasant.
Now, you have met him before. That's how you ended up here. He is a powerful merchant, a part of the trade guild. He's kind of a guy who connections. And as you guys are all mentioning this, there's like other men, nondescript men that are shadowed in this fighting pit or that are waiting to enter out into the arena. And I will describe it. Does anybody else have any questions before I move on? Go ahead. You look scared, Seth says to the dwarf. To Seven. Don't be scared. Sometimes they just want you to knock them out. But if a noble says to kill someone, then you just have to put them down.
I retort by saying, do I look scared?
No. I suppose not. Have you killed many before?
I was a soldier once.
What army? What army did you fight with?
Rather not say right now.
Mysterious. You can't even see his face move beneath his helmet. On top of his helmet is a skull, right? I've linked you his picture.
Just bobbling around.
You hear the like the sound of bone going onto wood come down the stairs into the fighting pit. Through the dusty shadow, you see the silhouette of a large, rotund man. He creaks as he steps down into the waiting room of the pits. He has several faded facial tattoos, having worn away with age. The sound of his large bone walks like a giant tooth. It's like a walking stick. Aids his awkward body and his heavy steps. He is well dressed. He must be a part of the merchant class. Gold rings, earrings, and a satchel at his side. He clears his throat before he addresses the gladiators and you. You have all entered in here today to partake in the arena. This is your last chance to leave if you do not have the stomach for blood.
Do you guys want to stick around here? Because I know I have the stomach for it, but...
I was told to come here because I was entertaining people.
Yeah,
I didn't
This is not
expect it like
exactly the
this.
kind of this is not exactly the kind of entertainment we had in mind.
Ethan just gives you all a sidelong glance.
So are we staying?
You see a few people kind of like get up as they hear the crowd cheer. There's a few people that leave out of the crowd of a few of the gladiators. They do develop second thoughts. The boy and the other gladiators stay. The gladiator looks over at Sven, the dwarf, and says, "Scared yet?"
So what are we killing?
I don't know, he says. And the merchant doesn't respond. He says, "Whatever we put out in front of you, you will slay." You will please the crowd today. I hear the Lord is coming today.
What do we get out of it?
Gold.
Remind me again?
He
How
like
much?
he like touches the satchel a little bit, and you hear like the jangling of coin in there.
So is there more to that, or
Is there more?
He like lets
I
out
don't
a
think that bag is gonna be enough.
he like lets out a hearty bellow. He's like, "Is there nothing more than life than coin?"
Kinda?
No.
Really?
You don't look like the type that would actually entertain bar folk. Now that, a dream for anyone.
Yeah, what he said.
I look at the boy and I ask him, I was like, what is your master's name?
He points to the man that stands before you, the large, rotund man.
Oh,
Good sir. Let this boy go and we'll fight for him. For his sister.
Make a persuasion roll.
Can I help?
Hope you're
How?
an entertainer fighter.
How are you going to help?
I say to the master, I said, please, if we win, see to it that if we win and he does not fight, that his family is freed.
Regardless
The boy
of the
says,
money.
my family died in the last war. It's just me and my sister.
Okay, so we're adopting these two. So we're gonna go fight for his sister.
He says, no mistake, no insult to you, man, but I bet I know you. I can handle myself.
Oh, I trust you, but I
He, like,
still don't want your
He
sister
looks
to
at
be
his
alone.
he looks at his sling and like smiles at you.
Watch over you, boy, if you choose to fight, though.
What's your persuasion roll? You rolled a 15.
15.
He says,
Not high enough.
The boy will still fight, but I promise I will release the girl if you put on a good performance.
yeah.
I can
Fair
assure
enough.
you we will.
Stay under our cover, boy, please.
Says he like kind of gets behind you, Rue, and says, and he like nods.
So, should I take my whistle stick or my lute? Which one do you think the crowd would most prefer?
I think the whistle stick.
A whistle stick.
Ah.
Although
good
the
choice.
lute is a very good choice, I think the whistle stick's gonna be better in this situation.
I
I
won.
agree.
So are you all agreeing to stay and fight?
Have we left yet?
Mhm. Yeah, we're here.
Anything
Excellent.
to help cut?
He says,
Sounds like anything
I
to
will wait up in Overwatch, put on the good performance. He like turns around, the dust and the silhouette of the arena, the wooden steps as he takes his cane and slowly creaks up the stairway. Before you is the gate. To the right as you sit down, the trumpets call as the gates open to the arena. There's a few guards in below. The boy eagerly like leaves and Sven goes out. Are you guys changing the order of who goes out, or are we sending out the other guys first?
It depends on whoever walks first, but Ethan's just gonna go. He's not gonna,
Same.
completely
Ethan,
regard for.
Ethan waits for no man.
Essentially, normally he's a solo person, so he's just like, all right, these people are here now. I'm gonna do whatever. Let's just get in there, and he's just gonna walk.
Knopf, stay back. We'll be the last to come out because they always save the best for last.
That's good. That's good. I like that. I like that.
Did I hear
I like
that?
that.
Did Ethan hear that?
Yeah,
You're probably already out
did
there.
you?
I mean, if he did, he would just be ever so slightly disappointed.
Knopf, if you
Just
stay
because
back
he is,
here, we'll make
that's
sure
fine.
that we can really entertain the crowd together.
They always say that best performances are always in a class act.
Yeah.
What's your character's name again? Pablo?
Elric.
Wow.
I didn't save him. Fuck.
Apparently, I'm waiting on the GM.
Yeah, I'm about
Yeah,
to summon
we're
you to the
on.
battle board.
Oh, okay. I was just confused because I saw in the stream.
I didn't save you. I didn't
It's
create a
just,
unique model for you yet. I will in a second, Ulrich.
Ah, Tailspire's black screen.
Oh my gosh! This
Some
is
technical
so bad.
issues over at Johnathan there. Now, Johnathan, if
Yeah.
you want to, if Tailspire is 2, you can just watch the stream. You can watch the stream on our Twitch, and then you can just play along that way. And then we'll just move you, but you won't control your character. I'll move you, and we'll do things that way if you want.
I'll try to
It's up to you,
I'll try to
buddy.
work around this as much as possible.
Attempt to get it.
So here's the thing: is I've loaded up the Stormbrook arena, and now I will summon you to the battle board. Is everybody in here? Or I have to give Elric permission here.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, Pablo, let me get you in here.
They really just said 6v3. Let's go.
There we go, Elric. There you go. So you guys can move your characters into a position where you want to be at. So I put out the boy and the gladiator. Across from the arena, you see them. Across from the arena, you see the gate open. Guards are escorting essentially like commoners out with but they're forcing them out into the arena. The crowd erupts in a blaze of cheer, and it comes to your dawn that these must be prisoners or something that are being forced to fight, and either that you can kill them or do whatever you want with them, right? So is this where we're having it? Is this the layout of the board right now? Is this where we want to be?
Take a position in the back,
1
bro.
second. I'm just
Okay, I'll move you back there. We have the fighter up front. The boy was next to Rue. I like your name, Rue, because it's super easy, for me to. It's a 1-syllable name, so it's easy. Winky, are you in the back? Okay, and then do we want to have Zevin up front a little bit?
To be honest, I'm
Like
trying
that?
to locate where we are. Oh, there we go.
You're right here. You see the crowd all around you. And Sven says he's right next to Rue. He bumps into Rue and he points up to the top. He says, "Look, Lord Parnish is here." And you see a man appear. Let me see if I can find him here. You see these noble boxes up here, almost like box seats up top. And you see the guard come out, and you see Lord Ian Parnish, Lord of Stormbrook, come out, and he takes a seat down at the table up top here. I can link you his picture if you want. He's also in our World Anvil. He's, I would say he's in his 30s. He has no facial hair, but he's definitely like a wizard of some kind. He has a staff. The history is he used to be the advisor to Lord Vigil before Lord Vigil suddenly died and he took over the command. He was almost like the regent, and when Stormbrook was liberated, he filled that vacuum over. But he's only been in command of or had lordship over Stormbrook for a few weeks.
Big dude.
What do you guys do?
Ethan's just gonna wait for any sort of signal to actually start.
Yeah.
The guards push out these quote-unquote victims / prisoners. They're armed with basic rudimentary weapons, and the guards step back as the gate falls down behind them. See how I'm doing it?
I feel like they want us to kill them.
He says it just depends. Sven says it's up to you.
Let's
Depends
try
on
for
how-
non-lethal takedown. First.
Sven swings his sword a little bit. He's non-lethal it is then. But if Lord Parnish wants blood, then you must submit to his will. Those who willing to die, salute you. He salutes to Lord Parnish. What do you guys do?
Look at him. I just
Everybody
keep
roll
my eyes
initiative.
focused.
Okay.
I'm just gonna keep looking out at the.
Everybody
Nice.
rolls initiative.
We allowed to roll in game.
So you roll it
Yeah,
in
roll it.
in your DND Beyond. Everything is integrated into DND Beyond. That's right, because Logan, this is his first time running a game with us or in D&D Beyond.
Okay, awesome.
Initiative rolls don't like me.
7. Neither do me.
I'm glad I'm just not getting the shitty rolls this time.
I got a 17.
As you just said, they don't like you either.
Okay,
I got a 7.
let me edit this encounter real quick. So this is also something too, because I didn't know who all was going to show up and everything. So. We got the Lord's Fork. We got Sweet. Okay. Save. Almost ready, guys. Now, sometimes D&D Beyond can automate in the. They'll actually plug in your initiative roll as you roll. Elric, what'd you roll? 17. 7. Okay, 7. Sven, what'd you roll? 6.
I wrote, yeah.
Winky.
11.
Rue.
12.
Ethan.
17.
I auto roll initiative for the commoners. Commoners up first with 19.
Oh, damn.
I'm gonna go just say this guy starts. He charges forth. So I can like be really specific with it. I'm gonna say he like charges forth. At like that's as far as he gets. Ethan is up.
Alright, what I want to do, what do these wait, I've been trying to like those things that you were doing with the highlights and all that. I keep pressing the numbers and it's not letting me.
You have to hit the M key to use the mark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then we go from there.
Do these pillars look climbable?
They are like basically strategic pillars put in the middle of the arena where you can hide and give yourself, partial cover or full cover.
I think I could climb up them.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to try that.
Okay. So you move over, like, you take basically, what was that, 15 feet? So climbing is half speed.
Yeah.
The surface of it is kind of sheer. Do you have climbing equipment?
I do not.
Roll a athletics check to climb up the pillar.
Maybe I should have taken. Hold on. Where is athletics? Non-existent. Right.
You guys like the music?
9. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
Pretty good.
What'd you roll? A 9.
9.
You fail to climb up it. You don't fall prone or anything like that, but you just fail to scale it up. Do you want to do anything else?
He kind of grits to himself before just.
You hear the crowd like laugh as you fail to climb up. Like just some random people in the crowd.
He grunts to himself. And then he takes aim at that first guy who was running.
Yeah. Okay. You got aim on him. Okay. Next up in the line, I have the 2 commoners at initiative. You use your ability to climb, right? Yeah, that's an action.
Oh.
Yeah, using an ability score in the middle of combat is an action. It's okay. It's cool, man.
Okay.
I like it because say like you actually climbed up there, like nobody can get you though, so it's kind of a nice play. The 2 commoners are left up. They just move up to here. Venus is up. Rue Venus. For my sister, the boy says next to you as your turn comes up.
For this kid's sister. Yep.
For this kid's sister.
You see the kid like he gets his sling ready. He's ready to like chuck a rock or something.
That's adorable. I got 18.
Nice. They have an AC of 13.
Okay. He's gonna take 8 damage.
He's badly injured.
Ooh,
How do you-
double-bladed?
How do you slice into this guy?
Well, I used the double-bladed one, so I'm gonna use my bonus action to take it around again with the backside.
Yeah, can you do that with that weapon?
I have the 2-weapon fighting. It's with, I think, both of them.
Because you have 2-weapon fighting is you have like a a thing and a dagger, right? You have an offhanded
Or like
weapon.
you have two.
Well, it's
weapons.
the light melee with a different light melee weapon. A
Yeah.
bonus action to attack with a different light melee weapon.
Is that a
So it's
one-handed
just
or
a
two-handed? Is it a one-handed or
They're
two-handed
both
one?
one-handed.
Oh, so you have two of these?
2 one-handed ones. I have a
Nice.
double-bladed scimitar and then a longsword for one hand.
A long sword, you can't use it as your offhand because it's or can you? I think you can because you have the
versatile.
feet.
It's the
Feet.
Because you have the fighting style, right? Is that what you're talking about?
yeah.
As a fighter? I think you can. Roll it up.
Okay.
Roll it
Okay.
up. You just don't get your
No!
ability to it. Yeah. A natural 1. As you stumble down as the gladiator like
Stumble
kicks
back.
the gladiator like kicks dirt into this guy, this other commoner, a prisoner. Who knows? Maybe he like stole something at the market or something. He just like kicks some dirt in your face and he like makes you miss.
I'm
Winky
gonna
is
then
up.
disengage back here.
You can't disengage; it's an action,
Okay.
but I can get an attack of
Ah!
opportunity if you want me to.
Nah, it's good.
Okay, let's move your character back up
You
then.
are at front line.
Yeah.
Winky is up, and then Elric on deck. Pablo, you're getting cut off again with the camera.
Oh, again?
Yeah, I'm just seeing the top of your forehead. It's beautiful, pimple free, but
Thank
you know.
Beautiful.
Same with
I know you
Winky
put a
there.
smile there.
Winky's trying to mimic you. Hilarious. Go ahead, Winky. What are you doing?
Oh no, it's not me, right?
You're up. Winky's up. Elric on deck.
I'm just gonna say this just seems silly, and I gotta cast sleep on the 2 people in the back.
Yeah, it's an AOE. Cool. I like that. All right. I have to just roll a saving throw. No, wait. It just
Downright.
works, right?
Yeah, it just works. So it's 5d8 hit points.
Roll it up. I like it.
So I sing them a lullaby is essentially my cast, and I say, "Why don't you all take a sleep?"
You
20,
just
23.
you turn into Jigglypuff.
I like that. They
the
both
person with
fall
the-
prone, and they both fall asleep.
Good night, lullaby.
Do you want to do anything?
Actually,
Do you want to do
wait,
anything
hold
else,
on, yes.
Winky?
I'm gonna step forward, like towards the middle. That's about 30 feet, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and serenade. And so I'm trying to perform to the crowd. I'm like, and we go on, and the people are asleep.
The crowd like erupts in a cheer as they seemingly see like magic being cast and stuff happen, and like these 2
They don't
prisoners fall down or whatever. Okay. Elric is up.
Ooh, okay. So I want to. I was like, I go to the bar and I was like, wink. I was like, well played, sir. Well played. So I move up. I move in between,
It's all for the crowd.
and I'll place myself right here.
Okay.
And I will cast Ray of Frost on this gentleman right here to slow him down.
This is a hit roll, right?
Hit roll.
Roll it up.
Any minute now. Come on now. Come on. Come on. Come on. There we go. I'm not gonna try to kill anybody.
I didn't
today,
see the
so-
roll.
There you go.
I think there you go. Nice. So you want to basically try to knock this guy out, like we talked about in our custom rules in the beginning. It's a -2 to the roll,
Yep.
right? So you rolled
Yep,
a
but
7.
it's a 9.
You rolled a 7, yeah. So you miss with the ray of frost. You point your finger at him, and it like streaks over Rue's shoulder and hits this pillar in the back as a ray of frost like freezes, but is quickly being melted by the sun. It's right now 11 o'clock in the morning, or thereabouts, around noon. The nobles have come out to feast and watch the festival of fighting.
Okay, and then I'm gonna use all of my movement to run over here to where the pillar's at and hide somewhere. Well, just just stay there.
You want to try to use the hide action?
No.
You just want to get back there, like there?
It's just gonna get
Okay. Sven is up.
Try to hide. Question or the answer.
Sven is up. What do you want to do, buddy? Can you access your guy, or do you want me to move him for you?
I can access.
Okay, what do you want to do, bud?
Alright, so like the other guy, I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to kill anyone.
The gladiator turns over to you and says, "Coward. The crowd
Hey.
demands blood."
Yeah, that doesn't mean I do.
Okay, what do you want to do, Sven?
Alright, so that's okay. So the other two are asleep in the
They're
back,
asleep,
so-
they're prone, they're in the middle of the arena. Like, just, they've conked out. It's kind of strange because the whole crowd is cheering and they've, quote unquote, just gone unconscious.
Alright, so
You could take the dash
I'm
action and
gonna-
move up to them.
Yeah, I was
Body
gonna
slam
like
him.
move right next to Rue.
Okay, right there.
Whoa. And how badly is this person?
He's badly hurt.
So I'm probably just gonna knock him out unarmed.
Okay, you take the flat of your... what weapon do you have?
I had a great axe.
Okay, you take the flat end of the great axe and try to swing across and knock him out with his face. Across the face. Roll a d20. Roll to hit.
All right. And
A 7. Do you have any modifiers? See how you just rolled a custom roll? The great axe should be in your inventory. You can actually roll.
yeah, it is.
It's right there.
Yeah.
What's the modifier to it?
Button.
+5.
So you rolled a 12. Their AC is 13, so you missed. Sven says, "Great soldier, huh?" Top of the round, we go to the commoner who attacks Rue. This will be the last round before we...
over here.
Let me pull up my thing here so I can actually make an attack. They attack you with their clubs, or just basic weapons that they were given by the guards. Kind of a one-sided lap combat. I'm assuming that misses you. The other two are asleep. Do I make any continual saving throws?
They're just snoozing.
They're snoozing away. Ethan is up. You failed to
Alright.
climb up the pillar.
I crashed. What
I saw
happened?
that. You're back. What do you want to do, Ethan?
Huh. I'm just thinking now. Do I go for one of the sleeping guys or the guy who's... You know what? Everybody else is attacking that guy. But... also a little scummy to go... You know what? Ethan doesn't care. He's gonna take aim at the... let's see... 10.
Rolled a 10?
This mug right here.
What do you want
He's
to do,
gonna
Ethan?
try and shoot that guy. What?
What do you want to do, bud?
He's gonna try and shoot that guy.
Okay.
Here.
Roll it up. So he's prone, okay?
So I get advantage.
You do not. You actually get disadvantage against prone targets when they're prone, right?
Yeah,
Seriously?
from range. Yeah.
From ranged, right?
Range.
Think about it, right? If someone goes prone, you're trying to shoot at them, they're harder to hit. Do you want to shoot at them?
Nah, I'm just gonna shoot at the other guy then. The one that's actually up.
Okay. Roll
Whatever.
to hit. What weapon are you
where?
attacking with, Ethan? The
His bow.
Warforge. Nice. Is it a longbow or a short bow?
Longbow.
Okay.
Where do I roll to?
There should be under your inventory or your attack action or whatever. You should see the weapon there equipped.
Oh, attack.
Yep, and then roll it up.
I only have an unarmed strike apparently.
Because you haven't equipped the bow. You have to go into
Oh.
your inventory and equip the bow.
Okay. Yeah. All right. There we
It's
go.
okay.
And then there's like a button then you can collect.
Yeah, there you
Are
go.
kidding me?
You rolled a 12, so they have an AC of 13. You see the like bandit or whatever, like dodge, click out of the way, as the arrow splinters out.
This is why I don't like rolling in.
What else do you want to do, Ethan? You can still
It always
move.
gives me bad rolls, and then I get sad.
Do you want to do anything else, Ethan?
I am unsure if I can, honestly.
Okay. The grave robber's up, or they're both sleeping.
Wait.
Rue is up.
Okay. We're going in with the, it's gonna miss anyways. I'm gonna try again with my feet. Stop it!
Rolling pretty low. This bandit is wily. He's got a few HP left. Is your turn over, Rue? I think it is. Winky's
Yeah,
up.
it is, because that's all I can do.
Winky.
I am going to continue singing and pander to the crowd
Roll a performance check.
and go, look at how wonderful we are and how wonderful I am and how wonderful
I
this
hate
situation
him. I
is.
hate him so much.
I am Winky the Wonderful.
I hate him so much, but I love him.
A nice solid 17.
I hear it in the penny. That's what I
The crowd like cheers. They love it. And you see like the merchant guy that was up there, right? He enters his like box seat, and then he nods at you and like, gives like one of these little claps. Apparently impressed by your performance. Elric is up.
I'm gonna move further out in the middle. Oh, I can't move further out in the middle of the
Go ahead,
area.
Winky.
So
There you go.
So I'm right in the kind of the middle of the area, just so everyone can see me.
You're right, yeah, but at least these two guys that are sleeping. So here's the thing, guys. Right now we're in something called combat mode in Tailspire. So only when it comes to you can see the turn order up top now, and when it comes to your turn, you can only move your model. So Elric is up.
I'm debating on whether I should put this guy to sleep too.
You tell me.
I'm gonna.
You see, Winky is like one over the crowd.
Yes.
It appears the
time for me
mission
to
is complete.
do my little performance here, and I'm going to try to go in sync and put him to sleep. Put the big guy to sleep.
Okay. Roll 5d8, right?
Yes, 5d8.
Enough time.
It's a 20-foot radius type cube. So how it works is it would be overlap the other two creatures, something like that.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Roll it up. Roll 5d8 for the amount of hit dice that you affect. Roll it up. Elric. I called you Eldritch because I'm thinking about the Eldritch stuff.
Yeah.
Eldritch Blast.
Yeah.
Pew pew. Eldritch Blast, aka one of the most broken cantrips in this game.
Man, it's like pretty laggy, huh?
Yeah.
I don't see the roll. It's just like a question mark from my end. There you go. 22.
22.
He falls asleep.
Night night.
Go to sleep.
Sven is up.
Night night.
You see the gladiator come up behind you, Sven? He says, and he like looks around at the nobles to see their reaction. Sven, you catch the eye of the lord of the land, Ian Parnish. The crowd, like the fight seemingly being over, you guys have overwhelmed your opponents with magic. And Winky in the middle is performing this performance and seemed to win him over. The crowd, though, looks towards the reaction of the noble to kind of give the thumbs up or thumbs down. And Ian looks towards you down at Sven, who's apparently right next to this guy. And he says, "Be careful," Sven says. Ian looks at you as you're right there with like your battle axe, right? Like over the body of this sleeping guy now. What do you guys do?
Are we out of initiative?
Do you guys do anything, or am I just gonna?
Is he? Well, is the big noble guy looking at us? Like are
He stands up out of his chair. He has his cane in his hand, and he looks really down at the dwarf, who's like standing right before the guy. He looks like the most intimidating, and he was a soldier in the past life. And Ian just nods at you, and the gladiator says, "Do it."
You don't kill innocents.
Man, if you don't want to, I'll do it for you. My ledger is running up.
The crowd is like starting to chant, like they're like just in like a blood rush rage. Ethan, you look towards the crowd, you see like a girl eating like some meat. Just like it's like raw and disgusting. Like just like
Is
some
that-
random
Oh,
girl
she's-
like watching in the the crowd here.
Ethan just sighs and shoots him.
You shoot the girl in the crowd.
No, not the girl in the crowd. The guy on the crowd.
Go
You
ahead,
want
do
to?
it.
You guys want to shoot? You want to shoot? The Lord, basically the king of Stormbrook.
Oh no!
He turned renegade?
Actually, what he's gonna do instead of shooting at him, because apparently, I do that at disadvantage. Where am I?
Boy.
I can't move him.
Well, because it's not your turn, but let me break out of the combat. Since the combat is over, I've moved back to exploration mode. If we want to use the battle board still, I've described what happens. So here's where Ian Parnish is. He's up here, up in the box seats. He's looking down. He gives a nod to Seven, basically to do a coup de grace move on one of the prisoners. Sven says to Rue that he will not kill an innocent, and the gladiator is like in disapproval. What do you guys do?
Ethan just walks up, brandishing his sickle, and he just walks over and slams it through the guy's chin.
You coup de grace the guy?
Yeah.
Ian,
Like,
with no
the
mercy,
sickle
like
is
kills a guy?
You know how it's curved, right? He just takes it, and the way that the guy's laying, he just slams it so that the thing pierces his chin up into his skull.
What do you guys do as a
just-
reaction? As Ian, this Warforged man, like, describe yourself. What does your character look like?
Well, they actually can't tell he's a Warforged. He has full clothes on, gloves on, and then he has like an entire hooded cloak on. So
Yeah.
it's like, for all you guys
Roman
know,
gladiator
this guy's
style. Not
What?
gladiator. Executor style.
Almost. Yes, actually, that's probably a good way to describe it. And this guy, he just walks up. You guys, he hasn't spoken a word to you guys thus far, if I'm not mistaken. He just walks up and with a sickle in hand, just slams it through this guy's skull, like through his chin, into his skull.
I'm just gonna
And he just-
maintain. I just maintain the glare between me and the guy.
And then he just pulls it, and then when, obviously dead, he just pulls it out. Looks over at you guys for a second, and then looks up at the other guy, or at the noble.
The noble.
Uh,
So, what do you do, Sven?
I was gonna say, it's like, I noticed two people randomly showed up.
Yeah, the two guards come out of the gate, right? And they seem to they're just removing the sleeping prisoners, right? And they're just cleaning up the bodies.
We could have handled this without killing anyone.
I'm gonna shout out to the noble guy, hands out, swords in both hands. Is this what you wanted?
And he
Of
turns
course
back,
it is.
and he turns
And
back
I
to the
can't
crowd.
keep singing.
Yeah, and then Winky is kind of egging on the crowd, and Ian stands up. He says, "Shall we bring him out? Let's bring him out then." And you guys, the guards are cleaning up the bodies, and you guys are still there. The whole crowd erupts in a feast. They're like smashing kegs together, like foam and broth of all this kegs are coming out. People are drunk.
Elric
Root.
goes, "Are you not entertained?"
You look at that, you just see like a bunch of drunk like peasant folk. They're just like loving it. And then you guys hear the footsteps, the large
Then walks
footsteps
over to this
emerging from the thing, and that's where you guys see the silhouette of a large creature beginning to come out, and that's where we'll end our game. We'll start
Swear
next
to God,
session.
if it's one of those giants from Skyrim, I am out.
You're gonna be launched 50
Nope.
billion light years into the air.
Literally, you're never gonna come back down.
Like he's gonna walk over
You
and
just had
be
to
like, "See how
entertain-
easy that is? We got your sister back."
so anyway,
Totally oblivious.
Bye.
A large creature.
Oh, and like, you just had to entertain the large merchant lord.
I thought he would have let us go by now, but I was wrong. You ready for some bloodshed, soldier?
I'll put out the model. You see the starving giant thing emerge.
Oh,
That's what it looks like.
No.
Is it a
Wanna kill
giant?
It wields a giant club, and it sombers up to you, and it says, "So hungry." And that's where we'll start our next game.
Oh.
Would
Can you guys put that to sleep? Can you guys put that to sleep?
have been like that.
Did you guys have
I would
fun?
not mind killing.
Did you guys have
good.
fun?
Yes,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
fun.
The gladiator says, "Oh, so the large man is okay, but the small one are not."
I mean, in his
That's a person
defense,
with
he
a
does-
moral life. There's a moral obligation to respect their life. This is an animal. He looks
Just
big and
spoke.
hungry and terrifying.
Different breed, same reasons.
I mean, preservation of life is adamant to most people. You know, clearly this man has not done anything to us except, fight for his own life, which he unfortunately lost today.
You're welcome.
We'll just kick his body. Just,
Also, are you gonna stay back there, or are you actually gonna contribute to this whole fight thing?
I think he's gonna contribute at this point.
Well, that's the end of
I
our
never-
session. Because I tried to end at
We're
8.
gonna need. We're gonna
Right.
need him. We're gonna need
But you
him.
guys can stick around if you want to. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, of course. But we'll see you
if
guys
nobody
next
has
week.
anywhere to go.
See y'all next week.
see you next week,
Yeah.
guys.
All right.
Yes. Bye. That was a lot of fun.
Cool.
Especially getting to play Ethan how I originally envisioned. He might seem very, well,
Violent?
put it bluntly, asshole-ish right now, but
Hey, I love it, man.
he has his quirks.
I mean, man. I was gonna say, if the story changes, I will have to bring out Locke, but as an NPC. Well, because
Okay.
in the lore, Locke is one of King. I forgot it.
Lord Vigil.
Not King Ian. He was one of Lord Vigil's children. So,
Mhm.
Wiggle the wiggle?
yeah, Wiggle Wiggle.
Wiggle wiggle.
Because of what happened, he went into exile. He went into exile, and had Dwarma died in the last campaign, I was gonna bring him out, and basically he's looking for his sister, who already died in the last campaign.
Just kind of change the music here.
Yeah. But other than that, if anything happens,
And our
Locke
journey
is ready.
begins.
yes,
Yeah, it's nice to have a backup character, man.
yep,
Backup
But-
for the backup for the
for
backup.
the backup, yep.
Backup for the backup for the backup for the backup.
Well, this
Because
week,
remember,
today was kind of just a character creation day, but next week we'll have a full-on adventure. We'll continue our
Alright,
story. Cool, huh? Thanks for showing up,
Yay.
guys.
All right.
And hopefully we'll
No
get our
problem.
Australian buddy in here, and maybe he'll be a guy in the crowd, or he'll come out and help you guys.
Man's just jumps down on.
Yeah, he just
off
jumps
the
up,
stands.
comes out of the pillar or something. I don't know.
He is the pillar.
I can just see it now. He comes in from the stands. and he tries to heroically save the day, but he trips and falls face first into the ground.
Cool.
Uh,
Well, I'm glad you guys had fun.
yeah. It was
Shoot,
fun.
shoot me a message Shoot me a message if you have any questions, but we'll probably level up next week and we'll go from there.
Oh heck yeah!
oh my gosh, I'm
Thank
having
goodness I
a
actually got my spells. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I'm having a blast naming my spells right now. I'm having a blast naming spells right now. So I named 3 of them already.
Yeah, I know.
Sleep is now night, and then I got Clockwork Armor of Giants.
I love it.
Nice.
Go ahead.
Any mage armor in there?
I do not. Maybe the next episode, or maybe when we level up, I'll probably swap it out. So
I mean, you're gonna need mage armor.
yeah, I am. I am. I probably might switch out Featherfall for armor for mage armor.
yeah.
Yeah, because Clockwork Magic allows us to switch with any other spell within the Sorcerer, Warlock, or Wizard spell list. as long as it's an abjuration or transmutation spell. So I might switch it out for mage armor.
All right.
So, all right. Anyways, guys, I gotta head out. So I'll see you guys later.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
And away I go.
See you
next
later,
time.
buddy.
See you.
Thanks for watching the stream, guys. I will see you next Tuesday as our adventure continues.